need to do all that because we live.
We live in intelligently ratchet style of ratchetness. We are watching the debate with you. So we are doing play-by-play on the debate while we're watching the debate. So that way y'all don't have to miss the debate and y'all can still watch us. Look at that. Aren't we the best?
Aren't we intelligently ratchet?
Oh, that's called thoughtfulness.
This is.
We care.
We care about what's going on, and we're about to go ahead. Let me go ahead in here, and since the debate has started, we're gonna go ahead and watch it together. Your comments are welcome. Gonna throw them in there. We're gonna talk some shit. We're gonna get it in. Here it is. We're gonna go live to the debate right now. Let's go.
Distant audience.
As always, make sure you share to your timeline.
Among other things, everyone in the audience is required to wear a face mask, and the candidates will be seated.
I feel like she's gonna be better than Homeboy though. What you think?
The audience is enthusiastic about their candidates, but they've agreed to express that enthusiasm only twice.
She used to be a middle school principal.
And now, when I introduce the candidates,
I don't know that for real, but like she looks like she used to be a middle school principal, so she done dealt with some shit.
She laying down the law though.
Yeah. I feel like
look at her. She got Tim's on tonight.
I hope so. Damn it! I want her to stop wearing these pantsuits so bad. I just want all women candidates to stop wearing pantsuits. All of them forever.
I like women with pantsuits.
I like a pantsuit.
Senator Harris and Vice President Pence, thank you for being here. We're meeting as President Trump and the First Lady continue to undergo treatment in Washington after testing positive for COVID-19. We send our thoughts and prayers to them for their rapid and complete recovery and for the recovery of everyone afflicted by the coronavirus. The two campaigns and the Commission on Presidential Debates have agreed to the ground rules for tonight.
They agreed last time too, didn't they?
Them on behalf of the millions of Americans who are watching.
No,
When in either campaign or at the Commission or anywhere else has been told in advance what topics I'll raise or what questions I'll ask. This 90-minute debate will be divided into 9 segments of about 10 minutes each. I'll begin a segment by posing a question to each of you, sometimes the same question, sometimes a different question on the same topic. You will then have 2 minutes to answer without interruption by me or the other candidate. Then we'll take 6 minutes or so to discuss the issue. At that point, although there will always be more to say, we'll move on to the next topic. We want a debate that is lively, but Americans also deserve a discussion that is civil. These are tumultuous times, but we can and will have a respectful exchange about the big issues facing our nation. Let's begin with the ongoing pandemic that has cost our country so much. Senator Harris, the coronavirus is not under control. Over the past week, Johns Hopkins reports that 39 states have had more COVID cases over the past 7 days than in the week before.
Right.
9 states have set new records. Even if a vaccine is released soon, the next administration will face hard choices. What would a Biden administration do in January and February that a Trump administration wouldn't do? Would you impose new lockdowns for businesses and schools and hotspots? A federal mandate to wear masks? You have 2 minutes to respond without interruption.
Thank you, Susan. Well, the American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country.
Ever.
And here are the facts. 210,000 dead people in our country in just the last several months. Over 7 million people who have contracted this disease. 1 in 5 businesses closed. We're looking at frontline workers who have been treated like sacrificial workers. We are looking at over 30 million people who in the last several months had to file for unemployment. And here's the thing. On January 28th, the vice president and the president were informed about the nature of this pandemic. They were informed that it's lethal in consequence,
Talk to shit.
that it is airborne, that it will affect young people, and that it would be contracted because it is airborne. and they knew what was happening and they didn't tell you. Can you imagine if you knew on January 28th, as opposed to March 13th, what they knew, what you might have done to prepare? They knew and they covered it up. The president said it was a hoax. They minimized the seriousness of it. The president said, you're on one side of his ledger if you wear a mask,
Go
you're
say,
on the
look
other
at
side of
Pence
his
lizard
ledger
eye.
if you don't. And in spite of all of that, today they still don't have a plan. They
This
still
got a glass eye?
Biden does. And our plan is about what we need to do around a national strategy for contact tracing, for testing, for administration of the vaccine, and making sure that it will be free for all. That is the plan that Joe Biden has and that I have, knowing that we have to get a hold of what has been going on, and we need to save our country. And Joe Biden is the best leader to do that. And frankly, this administration has forfeited their right to re-election based on this.
Thank you,
There you
Senator
go.
Harris.
2 minutes. Put that
Our
2 minutes on that ass.
More than
Blah, 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 blah.
have died of COVID-19 since
Go ahead.
February. The U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population is higher than that of almost every other wealthy nation on earth. For instance, our death rate is 2.5 times that of Canada next door. You head the administration's
I think the Canadians
coronavirus
is
task
tougher than
force.
us, though.
Why is the U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population higher than that of almost every other wealthy country? And you have 2 minutes to respond without interruption.
Susan,
Yeah,
thank you.
motherfucker.
And I want to thank the commission and the
Look how she's looking at it.
Utah for and Senator Harris, it's a privilege to be on the stage with you. And our nation has gone through a very challenging time this year. But I want the American people to know that from the very first day, President Donald Trump has put the health of America first.
Okay, let's start
Before there were
line.
more than 5 cases in the United States, all people who had returned from China. President Donald Trump did what no other American president had ever done. And that was he suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world. Now, Senator Joe Biden opposed that decision. He said it was xenophobic and hysterical. But I can tell you, having led the White House Coronavirus Task Force, that that decision alone by President Trump bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. And I believe it saved hundreds of thousands of American lives. Because with that time, we were able to reinvent testing. More than 115 million tests have been done to date. We were able to see to the delivery of billions of supplies so our doctors and nurses had the resources support they needed. And we began really before the month of February was out to develop a vaccine and to develop medicines and therapeutics that have been saving lives all along the way. And under President Trump's leadership, Operation Warp Speed, we believe we'll have literally tens of millions of doses of a vaccine before the end of this year. The reality is, when you look at the Biden plan, it reads an awful lot like what President Trump and I and our task force have been doing every step of the way. And quite frankly, when I look at their plan that talks about advancing testing, creating new PPE, developing a vaccine, it looks a little bit like plagiarism, which is something Joe Biden knows a little bit about.
Oh,
I
shit.
think the American people know that
She's not gonna be able to hold her face together, y'all. She was trying real hard.
with my heart can be
Thank you,
proud
Vice
of the
President.
sacrifices they have made. It saved
Thank you,
countless
Vice
American
President.
lives.
Hold on. My thing is this right here. Y'all knew in January.
Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked.
Ooh, talk about
210,000 dead bodies in our country, American lives that
Yep.
have been lost, families that are grieving that loss. And you know, the vice president is the head of the task force and knew on January 28th how
28th.
serious this was. And then thanks to Bob Woodward, we learned that they knew about it. And then when that was exposed, the vice president said, when asked, well, why didn't y'all tell anybody? He said, because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
No, but Susan, this is important.
Susan,
I want to
have
add,
to
but
weigh in here.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh in.
speaking.
Yeah, you
So
can have
I
15 more
wanna-
seconds, and then we'll give the Vice President
Thank
a
you.
chance to
So I want to ask the American people, how calm were you when you were panicked about where you're going to get your next roll of toilet paper? How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm
Thank
were
you.
you when your children couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them.
Let's give Vice President Pence a
Talk
chance.
your shit, Kamala.
1 minute to
You
respond.
know, there's not a day gone by that I haven't thought of every American family that's lost a loved one. And I want all of you to know that you'll always be in our hearts and in our prayers.
What the fuck difference does that make?
And people have done over these last 8 months hasn't worked. That's a great disservice to the sacrifices the American people have made.
I'm
But the reality, if I may finish that, the reality is Dr. Fauci said everything that he told the president in the Oval Office, the president told the American people. Now, President Trump.
Months later, though, right?
Right, months.
Months later.
Through this together. And when you say it hasn't worked, when Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and our medical experts came to us in the second week of March, they said if the president didn't take the unprecedented step of shutting down roughly half of the American economy, that we could lose 2.2 million Americans. But that's the reality.
But if you would have did it in January, you'd have lost less, right?
We could still lose more than 200,000 Americans.
Vice President,
Lost is too many, Susan. But the American people, I believe, deserve credit for the sacrifices that they have made, putting the health of their family.
Yo,
and their
she's
neighbors
staring at
first.
that dude. He feel that heat.
thank you, Vice President Pence.
All through that plexiglass, nigga.
He feeling the heat, yo.
11 days ago, what seems to have been a super spreader event for senior administration.
Super spreader event.
Super spreader event. Wah, wah.
I gotta take my sweater off for this one. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up.
How can you expect Americans to follow the administration's safety guidelines in COVID when you at the White House have not been doing so?
So, look how she look at him. Answer that question, bitch.
Have demonstrated over the last 8 months that when given the facts, they're willing to put the health of their families and their neighbors and people they don't even know first. Well, President Trump and I have great confidence in the American people and their ability to take that information and put it into practice. In the height of the epidemic, when we were losing a heartbreaking number of 2,500 Americans a day, we surged resources to New Jersey and New York and New Orleans and Detroit. We told the American people what needed to be done, and the American people
But is
sacrifice.
he answering the question though?
No, you can't answer the question when you fucked up in the game.
But the reality is the work of the President of the United States goes on. A vacancy on the Supreme Court of the United States has come upon us, and the President introduced.
Thank you, Vice President.
If I may say that.
But did he answer the question?
A great deal of speculation about it. My wife Karen and I were there and honored to be there. Many of the people who were at that event, Susan, actually were tested for coronavirus. And it was an outdoor event, which all of our scientists regularly and routinely advise. The difference
That's
here
not
is
true.
the American people to make choices in the best interest of their health. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris consistently talk about mandates, and not just mandates with the coronavirus, but a government takeover of health care, the Green New Deal, all government control. We're about freedom and respecting the freedom of the American people.
Let's talk about respecting the American people.
Oh,
You
shit.
respect the American people when you tell them the truth.
Mhm.
You respect the American people when you have the courage
Which we've
to be a
always
leader,
done.
speaking of those things that you may not want people to hear, but they need to hear so they can protect themselves. But this administration stood on information that if you had as a parent, if you had as a worker, knowing you didn't have enough money saved up, and now you're standing in a food line because of the ineptitude of a administration that was unwilling to speak the
Taking
truth
that
to the
one.
American people. So let's talk about caring about the American people. The American people have had to sacrifice far too much because of the incompetence of this administration. It is asking too much of the people.
Susan, we talk
That
about
it is asking too much of the people. That they would not be equipped with the information they need to help themselves to protect
Susan,
their parents
President-
and their
I'm
children.
sorry. Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, I'm sorry.
That's fine, I'm Kamala.
No. It's to me. For life to get back to normal, Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts say that most of the people who can be vaccinated need to be vaccinated. But half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If
Hell
the
no, she said.
protocols. If Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Fuck what you heard, y'all. Fuck what you heard. She said I'm not.
COVID-19 has underscored the importance of the job that you hold and that you are seeking. That's our second topic tonight. It's the role of the vice president. One of you will make history on January 20th. You will be the vice president to the oldest president the United States has ever had. Donald Trump will be 74 years old on Inauguration Day. Joe Biden will be 78 years old. That already has raised concerns among some voters, concerns that have been sharpened by President Trump's hospitalization in recent days.
Mm-hmm.
Vice President Pence, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with President Trump about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes without interruption.
Well, Susan, thank you. Although I would like to go back.
I think we need to move on
well,
to the
thank
issue
you, but I would like to
vice
go back
presidency.
because
Come on, Susan. Don't let that nigga try you.
Right.
Senator, in record time, in unheard of time, in less than a year, we have 5 companies in phase 3 clinical trials.
Man, no, answer the question about Trump being too old. Is one want to hear that shit, B?
He's scared because he don't want to get fucked up tonight when he leave.
Right. That shit was Trump gonna beat his ass up.
The Trump administration, I think, is unconscionable. And Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives. Is that we will have a vaccine, we believe, before the end of this year. And it will have the capacity to save countless American lives. And your continuous undermining of confidence in a vaccine is it's just unacceptable. And let me also say, the reality is when you talk about failure in this administration, we actually do know what failure looks like in a pandemic. It was 2009. The swine flu arrived in the United States.
Wait.
Ended up not being as lethal as the coronavirus. But before the end of the year, when Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, not 7.5 million people contracted the swine flu. 60 million Americans contracted the swine flu. If the swine flu had been as lethal as the coronavirus in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, we would have lost 2 million American lives. His own chief of staff, Ron Klain, would say last year that it was pure luck that they did, quote, everything possible wrong. And we learned from that. They left the strategic national stockpile empty. They left an empty and hollow plan, but we still learned from it. And I think the American people, I'm going to say again, can be proud
Vice President Pence, I'm sorry,
of what we have done. And Senator, please stop undermining confidence in a vaccine.
He's looking around like,
Question though.
Vice President Pence, which is, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with Vice President Biden about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, and if you win the election next month, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So let me tell you, first of all, the day I got the call from Joe Biden, it was actually a Zoom call, asking me to serve with him on this ticket was probably one of the most memorable days of my life. I thought about my mother, who came to the United States at the age of 19, gave birth to me at the age of 25 at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. And the thought that I'd be sitting here right now, I know would make her proud, and she must be looking down on this. Joe and I were raised in a very similar way. We were raised with values that are about hard work, about the value and the dignity of public service, and about the importance of fighting for the dignity of all people. And I think Joe asked me to serve with him because, I have a career that included being elected the first woman district attorney of San Francisco, where I created models of innovation for law enforcement in terms of reform of the criminal justice system. I was elected the first woman of color and Black woman to be elected Attorney General of the state of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. And there I took on everything from transnational criminal organizations to the big banks that were taking advantage of homeowners to for-profit colleges that were taking advantage of veterans. And then, of course, now I serve in the United States Senate as only the second Black woman ever elected to the United States Senate. I serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee, where I've been in regular receipt of classified information about threats to our nation and hotspots around the world. I've traveled the world. I've met with our soldiers in war zones. And I think Joe has asked me to serve with him because he knows that we share a purpose, which is about lifting up the American people. And after the 4 years that we have seen of Donald Trump unifying our country around our common values and principles.
Thank you, Senator.
She answered the question.
She didn't answer the question
I was
either.
wondering about that.
That had become the modern norm until the 2016 election. And in recent days, President Trump's doctors have given misleading answers or refused to answer basic questions about his health. And my question to each of you in turn is this information voters deserve to know?
Fuck yeah.
President Pence, would you like to go first?
Well, Susan, thank you. And let me say, on behalf of the president, in the first place, how moved we've all been by the outpouring of prayers and concern for the president. And I do believe it's emblematic of the prayers and the concern that have ushered forth for every American impacted.
No, we don't want to see him die from corona.
But the care of the president.
I said we don't want to see him die from corona. Like, shoot, like I don't want nobody to pass.
Transparency that they practiced all along.
Where's Keisha? Keisha?
Right to know about the health and well-being.
Yeah, I don't wish death on anybody.
Nah, we don't wish death on anybody. You know? I hope he get better. I hope he lose. I hope he gets better.
More than a little moved by the broad.
I don't think I've ever wished death on anybody. I can say that.
Joe Biden for your expressions, genuine concern. And I also want to congratulate you, as I did on that phone call, on the historic nature of your nomination. I never expected to be on this stage 4 years ago, so I know the feeling. But the reality is, we've got an election before the American people in the midst of this challenging year. And the stakes have never been higher, but I think the choice has never been clearer.
I want to give Senator Harris a chance to respond to the same question I asked, which is, do voters have a right to know more detailed health information about presidential candidates and especially about presidents, especially when they're facing some kind of challenge?
Absolutely. And that's why Joe Biden has been so incredibly transparent, and certainly by contrast, the president has not, both in terms of health records, but also let's look at taxes. Because of great investigative journalism, that Donald Trump paid $750 in taxes. When I first heard about it, I literally said, "You mean $750,000?" And it was like, no, $750. We now know Donald Trump owes and is in debt for $400 million. And just so everyone is clear, when we say in debt, it means you owe money to somebody. Who the president of the United States owes money to, because the American people have a right to know what is influencing the president's decisions. And is he making those decisions on the best interest of the American people, of you, or self-interest? So Susan, I'm glad you asked about transparency, because it has to be across the board. Joe has been incredibly transparent over many, many years. The one thing we all know about Joe, he puts it all out there. He is honest, he is forthright. But Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been about covering up everything.
Thank you, Senator Harris. I want to give you a chance to respond, Vice President.
Well, look, I respect the fact that
you look when she did this right here. This that I'm fucking you up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That body language, boy, I'm fucking you up.
He's paid tens of millions of dollars in taxes, payroll taxes, property taxes. He's created tens of thousands of American jobs. The president said that the public reports are not accurate. And the president's also released literally stacks of financial disclosures the American people can review just as the law allows. But the distinction here is that Joe Biden, 47 years in public service compared to President Donald Trump, who brought all of that experience 4 years ago.
Thank you, Vice
And
President.
turned this economy around by cutting taxes, rolling back regulation,
Thank you,
unleashing
Vice
American
President.
energy,
Yes.
fighting for free and fair trade, and all of that's
Thank you,
on
Vice
the line
President.
if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
You know, that's a
Are in
good
the White House.
segue into our third
Great
topic,
segue.
which is about the economy. This has been another aspect of life for Americans that's been so affected by this coronavirus. We have a jobs crisis brewing. On Friday, we learned that the unemployment rate had declined to 7.9% in September, but the job growth had stalled, and that was before the latest round of layoffs and furloughs in the airline industry at Disney and elsewhere. Hundreds of thousands of discouraged workers have stopped looking for work. Nearly 11 million jobs that existed at the beginning of the year haven't been replaced. Those hardest hit include Latinos, Blacks, and women. Senator Harris, the Biden-Harris campaign has proposed new programs to boost the economy, and you would pay for that new spending by raising $4 trillion in taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations. Some economists warn that could curb entrepreneurial ventures that fuel growth and create jobs. Would raising taxes put the recovery at risk? And you have 2 minutes to answer uninterrupted.
Thank you.
Most small businesses aren't making enough money to. Never mind.
Right.
I think there couldn't be a more
It's not. That's not the same shit.
Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden believes you measure the health and the strength of America's economy based on the health and the strength of the American worker and the American family. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who measures the strength of the economy based on how rich people are doing, which is why he passed a tax bill benefiting the top 1% and the biggest corporations of America, leading to a $2 trillion deficit that the American people are going to have to pay for. On day one, Joe Biden will repeal that tax bill. He'll get rid of it. And what he'll do with the money is invest it in the American people.
Right.
And through a plan that's investing in infrastructure, something that
Right.
Donald
That matters, don't it?
about infrastructure week, I don't think it ever happened. But Joe Biden will do that. He'll invest in infrastructure. It's about upgrading our roads and bridges, but also investing in clean energy and renewable energy. Joe is going to invest in what we need to do
You say,
around
Just?
innovation. There was a time when our country believed in science and invested in research and development so that we were an innovation leader on the globe. Joe Biden will use that money to invest in education. So, for example, for folks who want to go to a 2-year community college, it will be free. If you come from a family that makes less than $125,000, you'll go to a public university for free. And across the board, we'll make sure that if you have student loan debt, it's cut by $10,000. That's how Joe Biden thinks about the economy, which is it's about investing in the people of our country as opposed to passing a tax bill, which had the benefit of letting American corporations go offshore to do their business.
Thank you,
You're
Senator
welcome.
Harris. Vice President Pence, your administration has been predicting a rapid and robust recovery, but the latest economic report suggests that's not happening. Should Americans be braced for an economic comeback that is going to take not months, but a year or more? You have 2 minutes to answer uninterrupted.
I'm not going to answer this.
When I took office, America had gone through the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression. So when Joe Biden was vice president, they tried to tax and spend and regulate and bail our way back to a growing economy. President Trump cut taxes across the board. Despite what Senator Harris says, the average American family of four had $2,000 in savings in taxes. And
Wait, what?
What?
in wages that occurred,
Where the fuck is that number? These niggas is making numbers up.
the average household income for a family of four increased by $4,000 following President Trump's tax cuts. But America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day one, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes. It's really remarkable to think. I mean, right
he said-
after a time where we're going through a pandemic that lost 22 million jobs at the height, we've already added back 11.6 million jobs because we had a president who cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, fought for free and fair trade, and secured $4 trillion
American energy.
to give direct payments to families, save 50 million jobs through the Paycheck Protection Program. We literally have spared no expense to help the American people and the American worker through this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, want to raise taxes. They want to bury our economy under a $2 trillion Green New Deal, which you were one of the original co-sponsors of in the United States Senate. They want to abolish fossil fuels and ban fracking, which would have thousands of American jobs all across the heartland.
It also protect the environment, though, right?
Right, because climate change is some shit.
Half of our international trade deficit was with China alone. And Joe Biden wants to repeal all of the tariffs that President Trump put into effect to fight for American jobs and American workers. Joe Biden says democracy's on the ballot. Make no mistake about it, Susan. And the American economy, the American comeback is on the ballot with 4 more years of growth and opportunity, 4 more years of President Donald Trump.
Thank you's not working. Susan needs to try another technique.
Here in the history of this country.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Senator Harris.
That we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is Biden is very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
Repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
The important
I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax
She is, yo, Collins.
tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single.
He's not gonna let it. She's not gonna be a. I get it.
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax?
Now he's gonna play that game.
Letting me finish. We can then have a conversation. Okay?
Please.
Okay.
She sunned him.
Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been very clear about that.
They talking directly to Jess. So Jess makes over $4,000, $100,000 a year.
Damn, Jess, we sorry.
Look, I'm trying to pay attention to all this. This is all important. It's important to all of us.
Was responsible for the Recovery Act that brought America back, and now the Trump-Pence administration wants to take credit when they rode the coattails of Joe Biden's success for the economy that they had at the beginning of their term. Of course, now the economy is a complete disaster. But Joe Biden, on the one hand, did that. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who has reigned over a recession that is being compared to the Great Depression. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who was responsible with President Barack Obama for the Affordable Care Act, which brought health care to over 20 million Americans and protected people with pre-existing conditions. And what it also did is it saved those families who otherwise were going bankrupt because of hospital bills they could not afford. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump in court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which means that you will lose protections if you have pre-existing conditions. And this is very important, Susan.
Yes,
and it's
we need to give Vice President.
I'd just like to, he interrupted me, and I'd like to just finish, please.
That's right.
If you have a
That should
pre-existing
be fair too, and stay in time as well.
That's true.
If you love someone who has a pre-existing condition,
they're
coming for you. If you are under the age of 26 on your parents' coverage, they're coming for you.
Senator Harris, thank you. Let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, I hope we have a chance to talk about health care because Obamacare was a disaster. The American people remember it well. And President Trump and I have a plan to improve health care and to protect pre-existing conditions for every American.
Okay.
But look, Senator Harris, you're your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president, you would ban fracking. Joe Biden looked at a supporter in the eye and pointed and said, I guarantee that we will abolish fossil fuels. They have a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal, Susan, that your newspaper, USA Today, said really wasn't that very different.
Your newspaper.
Say what? Your newspaper.
More regulation, banning fracking, abolishing fossil fuel, crushing American energy, and economic surrender to China.
I think that's bullshit, though.
For economic decline.
The coal industry is fucking dead. What are they talking about?
The V-shaped recovery that's underway right now will continue with 4 more years of President Donald Trump.
Thank you very, very much, Vice President Pence. Once again, you've provided the perfect segue to a new topic, which is climate change.
Mm-hmm.
And Vice President Pence, I'd like to pose the first question to you. This year, we've seen record-setting hurricanes in the South. Another one, Hurricane Delta, is now threatening the Gulf. And we have seen record-setting wildfires in the West. Do you believe, as the
It's called
scientific community has concluded
What's it
that
called?
man climate
Tornado fire.
wildfires bigger, hotter, and more deadly, and have made hurricanes wetter, slower, and more damaging. You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Hurricanes got WAP. Sorry, never mind.
Hurricanes got their WAP.
Our record on the environment and on conservation. According to all of the best estimates, our air and land are cleaner than any time ever.
Don't say that
Water
shit.
is among the cleanest in the world.
Don't do that
And
shit.
just a little while ago, the president signed the Outdoors Act. It's the largest investment in our public lands and public parks in 100 years. So President Trump has made a commitment to conservation and to the
But he
environment.
closed it down.
Change. The climate is changing. But the issue is, what's the cause and what do we do about it? And President Trump
Fossil
has made a commitment to
fuels.
continue to listen to the science.
It ain't that complicated.
And Kamala Harris would put us back in the Paris Climate Accord. They'd impose the Green New Deal, which would crush American energy, would increase the energy costs of American families in their homes, and literally would crush American jobs. And President Trump and I believe that the progress that we have made in a cleaner environment has been happening precisely because we have a strong free market economy. You know, what's remarkable is the United States has reduced CO2 more than the countries that are still in the Paris Climate Accord, but we've done it through innovation. And we've done it through natural gas and fracking, which Senator...
No, that's not true. We have a fire NATO this year. We had a fire tornado.
But the both of you repeatedly committed to abolishing fossil fuel and banning fracking. And so by creating kind of American innovation, we're actually steering toward a stronger and better environment. With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and center. And even Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
there are no more hurricanes today than there were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarms
Vice President
use
Pence, I'm sorry, your time
hurricanes
is up.
and wildfires to try and
Thank
sell
you,
the
Vice
bill of
President.
goods of a
Yes.
Green New Deal. And President Trump and I are going to always put
Thank you,
American
Vice
jobs and
President
American
Pence.
workers first.
Senator Harris, as the Vice President mentioned, you co-sponsored the Green New Deal in Congress. But Vice
Agreed.
President said in last week's debate that he does not support the Green New Deal. But if you look at the Biden-Harris campaign website, it describes the Green New Deal as a crucial framework. What exactly would be the stance of a Biden-Harris administration toward the Green New Deal? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. So first of all, I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. That is a fact. I will repeat that Joe Biden has been very clear that he thinks about growing jobs, which is why he will not increase taxes for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. Joe Biden's economic plan, Moody's, which is a reputable Wall Street firm, has said will create 7 million more jobs than Donald Trump's. And part of those jobs that will be created by Joe Biden are going to be about clean energy and renewable energy.
We should have done that shit 5 years ago.
Understands that the west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with the farmers in Iowa, whose entire crops have been destroyed because of floods. And so Joe believes, again, in science. I'll tell you something, Susan. I served, when I first got to the Senate, on the committee that's responsible for the environment. Do you know this administration took the word science off the website and then took the phrase climate change off the website? We have seen a pattern with this administration, which is they don't believe in science. And Joe's plan is about saying we're going to deal with it, but we're also going to create jobs. Donald Trump, when asked about the wildfires in California, and the question was, the science is telling us this, you know what Donald Trump said? Science doesn't know.
What did he say?
What'd he say?
Is prepared to lead our
Science doesn't know.
4 years on what is an existential threat to us as human beings. Joe is about saying we're going to invest that in renewable energy. It's going to be about the creation of millions of jobs. We will achieve net zero emissions by 2050, carbon neutral by 2035. Joe has a plan. This has been a lot of talk from the Trump administration, and really it has been to go backward instead of forward. We will also re-enter the climate agreement with pride.
Senator Harris just said that climate change is an existential threat. Vice President Pence, do you believe that climate change poses an existential threat?
Does Jesus believe in climate change, Vice President Pence?
We'll follow the science. But once again, Senator Harris is denying the fact that they're going to raise taxes on every American. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that on day one he was going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. Those tax cuts delivered $2,000 in tax relief to the average family of four across America. And with regard to banning fracking, I just recommend that people look at the record. You yourself said repeatedly.
He got to throw that in because they ain't got nothing else to say about climate change or fracking.
Yeah.
So he got
denied the Green New Deal. Susan, thank you for pointing out the Green New Deal is on their campaign website. And as USA Today said, it's essentially the same plan as you co-sponsored with AOC when she submitted it in the Senate. And
That's
you just say she's going to resubmit America to the Paris Climate Accord. Look, the American people have always cherished our environment. We'll continue to cherish it.
No, we haven't.
We've made great progress.
No.
Reducing CO2 emissions through American innovation and the development of natural gas through fracking. We don't need a massive $2 trillion Green New Deal that would impose all new mandates on American businesses and American families.
Thank you.
Joe Biden wants us to
Thank you, Vice
retrofit
President.
4 million
Thank you, Vice
American
President.
business buildings. It makes no sense. It will cost jobs. President Trump
Thank
is
you,
going to
Vice
put
President.
America first. He's going to put jobs first, and we're going to take care of our environment and follow the science.
Thank
But
you, Vice
on the
President.
issue of jobs,
Senator Harris.
let's talk about that. The vice president earlier referred to, as part of what he thinks is an accomplishment, the president's trade war with China. You lost that trade war. You lost it. What ended up happening is because of a so-called trade war with China, America lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs. Farmers have experienced bankruptcy because of it. We are in a manufacturing recession because of it. And when we look at where this administration has been, there are estimates that by the end of the term of this administration, they will have lost more jobs than almost any other presidential administration. And the American people know what I'm talking about. You know, I think about 20-year-olds. You know, we have a 20-year-old, a 20-something-year-old who are coming out of high school and college right now, and you're wondering, is there going to be a job there for me? We're looking at people who are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent by the end of the month. Almost half of American renters are worried about whether they're going to be able to pay rent by the end of the month. This is where the economy is in America right now, and it is because of the catastrophe and the failure of leadership of this administration.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence.
That's a dumbass 20-year-old, though. Let's talk about it. How many times he got left down?
I'd love to respond. Look, lost the trade war
Who
with China.
says left down?
Actually left down.
Cheerleader from Communist China
Look at left down.
for decades. And again, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. When Joe Biden was vice
Ooh, he thinks that was somebody wrote that shit for him.
job,
Right, yeah, exactly, Justice. Somebody wrote that shit for the nigga.
magic wand to bring them back. In our first 3 years after we cut
Thank
taxes,
you, Vice
rolled back
President.
regulation, unleashed American energy,
That's
This-
not working.
500,000
Thank you, Vice
manufacturing
President.
jobs
Yes.
created. And that's exactly the kind of growth we're going to continue to see as we bring our nation through
Thank you, Vice
this
President.
pandemic. The
Mr.
Green New
Thank you,
Deal, your
Vice
massive
President.
new
Thank you, Vice President.
That shit's not working, Susan. He just started saying Kamala.
Thank you. Thank you. Joe Biden is responsible for saving America's auto industry, and you voted against it. So let's set the record straight. Thank you.
I'd like to talk about China. We have, as our next topic, we have no more complicated or consequential foreign relationship than the one with China. It is a huge market for American agricultural goods. It's a potential partner in dealing with climate change in North Korea. And in a video tonight, President Trump again blamed it for the coronavirus, saying China will pay. Vice President Pence, how would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Competitors, adversaries, enemies? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Susan. Well, before I leave that, let me speak to voting records if I can. You know, everybody knows that NAFTA cost literally thousands of American factories to close. We saw automotive jobs go south of the border.
Right now, what I want to do, I want to speak about how LeBron was fouled in the fourth quarter.
It's now the law of the land. American people deserve to know. Senator Kamala Harris was one of only 10 members of the Senate to vote against the USMCA. It was a huge win for American auto workers. It was a huge win for American farmers, especially dairy in the upper Midwest. But Senator, you said it didn't go far enough on climate change, that you put your radical environmental agenda ahead of American auto workers and ahead of American jobs. The American people deserve to know that. It's probably why Newsweek magazine said that Kamala Harris was the liberal member of the United States Senate in 2019. More liberal than Bernie Sanders, more liberal than any of the others in the United States Senate. So now with regard to China, look, Susan, first and foremost, China is to blame for the coronavirus.
Oh!
President Trump is not happy about it. He's made that very clear. Made it clear again today. China and the World Health Organization do not play straight.
China.
It came from China.
The China virus. In the middle of February. Fortunately, President Trump, in dealing with China from the outset of this administration, standing up to China that had been taking advantage of America for decades in the wake of Joe Biden's cheerleading for China, President Trump made that decision before the end of January to suspend all travel from China. And again, the American people deserve to know Joe Biden opposed President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China. He said it was hysterical. He said it was
President Pence.
But President Trump has stood
Pence,
up
your
to
time is
China.
up.
We're going to continue to stand strong.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
We want to improve the relationship, but we're going to level the
I
playing
think
field.
Trump is really mad is because he got the coronavirus and he think it comes from China.
Let me ask you the same question that I asked the Vice President. How would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Are we competitors, adversaries, enemies? You'll have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
They need to come look
allies because they bought our debt.
Exactly. That's why I said son. That's why I said we're their children. We need to learn to speak Mandarin if we don't get our shit together.
Lives, American jobs, and America's standing. There's a weird obsession that President Trump has had with getting rid of whatever accomplishment was achieved by President Obama and Vice President Biden.
Talk that shit.
For example,
call the nigga out.
The White House, an office that basically was responsible for monitoring pandemics. They got away, they got rid of it.
Not true.
There was a team of disease experts that President Obama and Vice President Biden dispatched to China to monitor what is now predictable and what might happen. They pulled them out. We now are looking at 210,000 Americans who have lost their lives. Let's look at the job situation. We mentioned before the trade deal, the trade war, they wanted to call it, with China. It resulted in the loss of over 300 manufacturing jobs and a manufacturing recession, and the American consumer paying thousands of dollars more for goods because of that failed war that they called it. Then let's talk about standing. Pew, a reputable research firm, has done an analysis that shows that leaders of all of our former
Yo, she leaning in that chair when she getting her shit, Justin. She's like,
that they hold in greater esteem and respect the head of the Chinese Communist Party than they do Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. This is where we are today. because of a failure of leadership by this administration.
Senator Harris, we've seen changes in the role of the United States in terms of global leadership over the past 4 years. And of course, times do change. What's your definition? We've seen strains with China, of course, as the Vice President mentioned. We've seen strains with our traditional allies in NATO and elsewhere. What is your definition of the role of American leadership in 2020?
So, Joe I love talking with Joe about a lot of these issues. And, Joe, I think he said it quite well. He says, foreign policy, it might sound complicated, but really it's relationships. Just think about it as relationships. And so we know this in our personal and professional relationships. You got to keep your word to your friends. You got to be loyal to your friends. People who have stood with you, got to stand with them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know who your adversaries are and keep them in check. But what we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends and embraced dictators around the world. Let's take, for example, Russia. So, Russia, I serve on the Intelligence Committee of the United States Senate. America's intelligence community told us Russia interfered in the election of the President of the United States in 2016 and is playing in 2020. Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said the same. But Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, prefers to take the word of Vladimir Putin over the word of the American intelligence community. You look at our friends at NATO. He's walked away from agreements. You can look at the Iran nuclear deal, which now has put us in a position where we are less safe because they are building up what might end up being a significant nuclear arsenal. We were in that deal, guys. We were in the Iran nuclear deal with friends, with allies around the country. And because of Donald Trump's unilateral approach to foreign policy, coupled with his isolationism, he pulled us out and has made America less safe. So, Susan, it's about relationships. And the thing that has always been part of the strength of our nation, in addition to our great military, has been that we keep our word. But Donald Trump doesn't understand that because he doesn't understand what it means to be honest.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, thank you. President Trump kept his word when we moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel. When he was vice president, they promised to do that, and they never did. We've stood strong with our allies, but we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever before, thanks to President Trump's leadership. We've strengthened our alliances across the Asia Pacific, and
I'll cash up the next person $1 if they could tell me in 30 seconds what NATO stands for.
Office. ISIS had
what does NATO stand for?
Of the Middle East, the size of Pennsylvania.
$1
President
and your
Trump
cash app. Let's go.
Unleashed the American military, and our armed forces destroyed the ISIS caliphate and took down their leader al-Baghdadi without one American casualty. Al-Baghdadi was responsible.
Yo,
for the
that's a dope ass battle rap name.
It is. I completely agree.
The parents of which are here with us.
Al-Baghdadi.
Today,
30 seconds right here.
were brought to justice in the United States. Jihadi John was killed on the battlefield along with the other beetles.
John.
The reality is, when Joe Biden was vice president, we had an opportunity to save Kayla Miller. Breaks my heart to reflect on it, but the military came into the Oval
45
Office.
seconds. I gave y'all time for the buffering.
Okay.
Baghdadi had held it for 18 months.
So what does it mean, Jess?
Mercilessly before they.
No one got the $1.
But
He said it means that nobody got the dollar. They gonna sound like he said, "Fuck you trying to learn ass niggas. I ain't teaching you shit."
I wanted to know what NATO meant.
Me too. Shit. I'ma fuck him. Let me Google that shit for us.
Okay, so no.
Nobody
So
got the dollar.
For those that don't know, North Atlantic Treaty, North Alliance Treaty Organization, is basically the different countries,
Thank you, Vice President.
terrorism.
military intelligence coming together as one.
And,
Nice.
and when Qasem Soleimani was traveling to Baghdad.
Thank you,
do
Vice
harm
President
to Americans. President Donald Trump took
Thank you,
him
Vice
out,
President Pence.
and America is safer.
Niggas said
Our
Tommy
allies
Outlet.
are safer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vice President. I would like to give Senator Harris a chance to respond, but not at such great length because, of course, there are other topics we want to talk about.
But I would like equal time.
Yes,
Thank you.
please go ahead.
First of all, to the Mueller family, I know about your daughter's case, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What happened to her is awful, and it should have never happened. And I know Joe feels the same way, and I know that President Obama feels the same way. But you mentioned Soleimani. Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
So after the strike on Soleimani, there was a counter strike on our troops in Iraq. And
Kamala like, yo, you know,
they
you remember I know this
suffered
shit.
serious brain injuries. And do you know what Donald Trump dismissed them as? Headaches. And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers. Donald Trump, who went to Arlington Cemetery and stood above the graves of our fallen heroes and said, what's in it for them? Because of course, you know, he only thinks about what's in it for him. Let's take what he said about John McCain, great American hero. And Donald Trump says he doesn't deserve to be called a hero because he was a prisoner of war. And this is very important when you want to talk about who is the current commander in chief and what they care about and what they don't care about. Public reporting that Russia had bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And you know what a bounty is? It's somebody puts a price on your head and they will pay it if you are killed. And Donald Trump had talked at least 6 times to Vladimir Putin and never brought up the subject. Joe Biden would never do that.
Thank
Joe
you.
Biden would, but Joe Biden would hold Russia to account for any threat to our nation's security or to our troops who are sacrificing their lives for the sake of our democracy and our safety.
Thank you, Senator Harris. This is such an important issue, but we have other important issues as well. And
Susan,
I want to make sure we have a chance
I really have
to talk
to respond
about.
to that.
I'm
No, you don't.
15
Say
seconds.
white. All you gotta do is say white and die. Be quiet.
It's a debate. Let them go back.
Slanders against President Donald Trump regarding men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice
My
President
son is
Pence.
a captain in the United
Yes.
States Marine Corps. My son-in-law is deployed in the United States Navy. I can assure all of you, with sons and daughters serving in our military, President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our armed forces, and any suggestion otherwise is ridiculous.
But
Let
thank
me
you,
also
Vice
say
President Pence.
that the
Vice
American
President
people
Pence,
deserve,
you know,
Susan,
Vice
the American
President
people
Pence, I
deserve to
didn't,
know.
Vice President Pence, I did not, excuse me.
As a veteran, I will say I do believe he is very pro-military and supports the military. I will say that.
For tonight's
Who,
debate.
That
Donald
makes
Trump?
sense.
Yes.
The optics of that are good. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Moving from one topic to another, giving roughly equal time to both of you,
Go right ahead.
which is what I'm trying very hard to
Go
do.
right ahead.
So I want to go ahead and move to the next topic, which is an important one, as the last topic was, and that is the Supreme Court. On Monday, the Senate Judiciary Committee is scheduled to open hearings on Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court. Senator Harris, you'll be there as a member of the committee. Her confirmation would cement the court's conservative majority and make it likely open to more abortion restrictions, even to overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. Access to abortion would
This
then
gonna be
up to
this gonna
the
be crazy
states.
right here.
Vice President Pence, you're the former governor of Indiana. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want Indiana to do? Would you want your home state to ban all abortions? You have 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
Well, thank you for the question, but I'll use a little bit of my time to respond to that very important issue before. American people deserve to know. Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, was responsible.
Man,
for the
this
death of
man will
hundreds
not
of
stay
Americans.
on fucking topic, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm headed to Baghdad to kill more Americans. President Trump didn't hesitate. And Qasem Soleimani is gone.
Green New Deal.
Joe Biden
I'm just saying, that's what he usually says.
actually criticized the decision to take out Qasem Soleimani. It's really inexplicable, but with regard to Joe Biden, it's explainable. Because history records that Joe Biden actually opposed the raid against Osama bin Laden. It's absolutely essential. We have a commander in chief
word. He
who will not hesitate to act to protect American lives and to protect American service members, and that's what you have in President Donald Trump. Now, with regard to the Supreme Court of the United States, let me say President Trump and I could not be more enthusiastic about the opportunity to see Judge Amy Coney Barrett become Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Now, she's a brilliant woman, and she will bring a lifetime of experience and a sizable American family to the Supreme Court of the United States. And
What
our
the
hope,
fuck does that do with anything?
unlike Justice Kavanaugh received with treatment from you and others, but we hope she gets a fair hearing. And we particularly hope that we don't see the kind of attacks on her Christian faith that we saw before. The Democrat chairman of the Judiciary Committee before, when Judge Barrett was being confirmed for the Court of Appeals, expressed concern that the dogma of her faith lived loudly in her. Dick Durbin of Illinois said that it was a concern. Senator, I know one.
This is coming from the same people that didn't want Obama to be because they thought he was Muslim.
Because they were a member of the Catholic Knights of Columbus.
Right. But Christianity is American.
Pro-life views and
Thank you,
views.
thank you, Vice President
So
Pence. Your
my
time
hope
is
is that
up.
when the hearing takes place, that
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
that Judge Amy Coney Barrett will be respected,
Thank you,
treated
Vice President
respectfully,
Pence.
voted and confirmed
Thank
with the
you.
Supreme Court of the United States.
Senator Harris, you're the senator from and former Attorney General of California. So let me ask you a parallel question to the one I posed to the Vice President. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want California to do? Would you want your home state to enact no restrictions on access to abortion? And you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. First of all, Joe Biden and I are both people of faith, and it's insulting to suggest that we would knock anyone for their faith. And in fact, Joe, if elected, will be only the second practicing Catholic as president of the United States. On the issue of this nomination, Joe and I are very clear, as are the majority of the American people. We are 27 days before the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And, before, when this conversation has come up, it's been about election year or election time. We're literally in an election. Over 4 million people have voted. People are in the process of voting right now. And so Joe has been very clear, as the American people, let the American people fill that seat in the White House, and then we'll fill that seat on the United States Supreme Court. And to your point, Susan, the issues before us couldn't be more serious. There's the issue of choice, and I will always fight for a woman's right to make a decision about her own body. It should be her decision and not that of Donald Trump and the Vice President, Michael Pence. But let's also look at what else.
You ain't got no ovaries, you don't get an opinion.
In the midst of a public health pandemic, when over 210,000 people have died and 7 million people probably have what will be in the future considered a pre-existing condition because you contracted the virus. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is in court right now trying to get rid of the affordable. And I said it before, and it bears repeating. This means that there will be no more protections if they win for people with pre-existing conditions. This means that over 20 million people will lose your coverage. It means that if you're under the age of 26, you can't stay on your parents' coverage anymore. And here's the thing. The contrast couldn't be more clear.
Anybody that's 26 years old doesn't need to be on their parents' coverage anyway. I'm sorry.
I wasn't, but you know what I'm saying.
We was a different kind of generation, though. Like, they live with their parents longer, all kind of craziness.
Leadership.
You mentioned earlier, Vice President Pence, that the president was committed to maintaining protections for people with pre-existing conditions. But you do have this court case that you are supporting, your administration supporting, that would strike down the Affordable Care Act. The President Trump says that he's going to protect people with pre-existing conditions, but he has not explained how he would do that. And that was one of the toughest nuts to crack when they were passing the Affordable Care Act. So tell us specifically, how would your administration protect Americans with pre-existing conditions have access to affordable insurance if the Affordable Care Act is struck down?
Well, thank you, Susan. But let me just say, addressing your very first question,
If he
I couldn't be more proud to serve as vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. I'm pro-life. I don't apologize for it. And this is another one of those cases where there's such a dramatic contrast. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. Late-term abortion. They want to increase funding
That's not true.
of America. Now, for our part, I would never presume how Judge Amy Coney Barrett would rule on the Supreme Court of the United States, but we'll continue to stand strong for the right to life. When you speak about the Supreme Court, though, I think the American people really deserve an answer, Senator Harris. Are you and Joe Biden going to pack the court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed? I mean, there have been 29 vacancies on the Supreme Court during presidential election years, from George Washington to Barack Obama. Presidents have nominated in all 29 cases. But your party is actually openly advocating adding seats to the Supreme Court, which has had 9 seats for 150 years, if you don't get your way. This is a classic case of, if you can't win by the rules, you're going to change the rules.
hold on. That seems like something.
Oh, right. Oh, rules. We want to talk about rules next.
I'd like to know, if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed at the Supreme Court of the United States, are you and Joe Biden, if somehow you win this election, going to pack the Supreme Court to get your way?
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more. In 1864,
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
President, I'm speaking. Okay. In 1864, one of the political heroes, certainly the president,
Was she leaning back in the chair?
also Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election, and it was 27 days before the election, and a seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party was in charge not only of the White House, but the Senate. But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear. The American people are voting right now, and it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body for a lifetime.
Thank you, Senator Harris.
People, Susan, are voting right now. They'd like to know if you and Joe Biden are going to pack the Supreme Court if you don't get your way in this nomination.
Let's talk about packing.
You once again gave a non-answer. Joe Biden gave a non-answer.
Trying to answer you
The
now.
American people deserve a straight answer. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the straight answer is they are going to pack the Supreme Court if they somehow win this election. Men and women, I got to tell you, people across this country, if you cherish our Supreme Court, if you cherish the separation of powers, you need to reject the Biden ticket, the third re-elect President Donald Trump, and we'll stand by that separation of powers in a 9-seat Supreme Court.
Yeah, let's talk about packing the court then. Let's talk about the
Please.
fact. Yeah, I'm about to.
Thank you.
So the Trump-Pence administration has been, because I sit on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Susan, as you mentioned, and I've witnessed the appointments for lifetime appointments to the federal courts, district courts, courts of appeal. People who are purely ideological, people who have been reviewed by legal professional organizations and found to have been not competent, are substandard. And do you know that of the 50 people who President Trump appointed to the Court of Appeals for lifetime appointments, not one is Black? This is what they've been doing. You want to talk about packing a court? Let's have that discussion.
All right, thank you, Senator. Let's go on. and talk about
You see her face? You see her face?
racial
Justice, I just want the record to reflect she never answered the question. But maybe your next debate, Joe Biden will answer the question.
Thank you,
But I think
thank
the
you.
American people know the answer.
Thank you, Vice President. In March, Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency room technician at
Oh,
Louisville, was
shit.
shot and killed. executing a search warrant in a narcotics investigation broke into her apartment. The police said they identified themselves. Taylor's boyfriend said he didn't hear them do that. He used a gun registered to him to fire a shot, which wounded an officer. The officers then fired more
But
than 20
that
rounds
wasn't
into
right.
the apartment. They say they were acting in self-defense. None of them have been indicted in connection with her death. Senator Harris, in the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes.
I don't believe so. And I've talked with Breonna's mother, Tamika Palmer, and her family. And her family deserves justice. She was a beautiful young woman. She had as her life goal to become a nurse, and she wanted to become an EMT to first learn what's going on out on the street so she could then become a nurse and save lives. And her life was taken unjustifiably and tragically and violently. And it brings me to, the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that America witnessed, during which an American man was tortured and killed.
American. I like how she did that.
An armed, uniformed police officer. And people around our country of every race, of every age, of every gender, perfect strangers to each other, marched shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, fighting for us to finally achieve that ideal of equal justice under law. And I was a part of those peaceful protests. And I believe strongly that, first of all, we are never going to condone violence, but we always must fight for the values that we hold dear, including the fight to achieve our ideals. And that's why Joe Biden and I have said on this subject, look, and I'm a former career prosecutor. I know what I'm talking about. Bad cops are bad for good cops. We need reform of our policing in America and our criminal justice system, which is why Joe and I will immediately ban chokeholds and carotid holds. George Floyd would be alive today if we did that. We will require a national registry for police officers who break the law. We will, on the issue of criminal justice reform, get rid of private prisons.
That's not true. It wasn't a chokehold or a carotid hold on George Floyd.
Right.
That wasn't true.
That was it.
Have been convicted of
His name
marijuana
was on his chest
leadership
Mhm.
on a
and on
tragic.
his back. The carotid is in your throat.
Thank you, Senator Harris.
So yeah. So
So it still don't solve the fucking problem. It still wouldn't have alleviated that situation.
I'm just being fair
Right.
and listening to what they're saying. And what she said was not factual.
Well, our heart breaks for the loss of any innocent American life. And the family of Breonna Taylor has our sympathies. But I trust our justice system, a grand jury that refused the evidence. And it really is remarkable that as a former prosecutor, you would assume that an impaneled grand jury looking at all the evidence got it wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion, Senator.
He's like, the justice system is fair for everybody.
There's no
Right.
excuse for what happened to George Floyd.
That's what he just said.
This will be served.
Hold on.
But there's also no excuse for the rioting and looting that followed. It really is astonishing. Flora Westbrook is with us here tonight in Salt Lake City. Just a few weeks ago, I stood at what used to be her salon. Was burned to the ground by rioters and looters. And Flora is still trying to put her life back together. And I must tell you, this presumption that you hear consistently from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that America is systemically racist. And that, as Joe Biden said, that he believes that law enforcement has an implicit bias against minorities, is a great insult to the men and women who serve in law enforcement. And I want everyone to know who puts on the uniform of law enforcement.
What's on his head?
President Trump and I stand.
Okay.
What the fuck is that on his hair, yo?
A bug.
Shit, what is that? Is that
Like
his
a
hair?
bee.
I thought it was my screen.
No, it's like a fly.
And Democrats, Senator Harris.
It's gone.
That fly trip to keep people in her house, yo.
Senator,
That shit's gonna be on Saturday Night Live, niggas.
provided new accountability, new resources, but we don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement, improving public safety, and supporting our African American neighbors and all of our minorities. Under President Trump's leadership, we'll always stand with law enforcement and we'll do what we've done from day one.
Thank you. Your time
Yes, but like you just said, there's no point of choosing if Trump is always siding with law enforcement.
Choice,
Right.
That's a biased thing.
Mhm.
I will not sit here and be lectured by the vice president
Mm.
on what it means to enforce the laws of our country. I am the only one on this stage
Ooh.
who was personally prosecuted.
Ooh.
Everything from child sexual assault to homicide.
Ooh. Talk
I'm
your
the
shit.
only one on this stage who was
That
prosecuted
fly is fucking with me.
for taking
Me too. Me too.
advantage. I'm the only one on this stage
Mm.
who prosecuted for-profit colleges for taking advantage of our veterans. And the reality of this is that
I'm the subject
we are
matter expert,
talking
nigga.
about an election in 27 days, where last week the president of the United States took a debate stage in front of 70 million Americans and refused to condemn white supremacists.
No.
And
Not true.
it wasn't like he didn't
Yes.
have hands. He didn't do it, and then he doubled down. And then he said, when pressed,
Flies love shit.
stand back, stand by.
You can't feel that fly on your head, B?
You can't hear what you can't touch it. He can't touch it. He's a robot. His arms
It'll
don't work
leave in a
yet.
moment.
He called Mexicans rapists and criminals. He instituted as his first act a Muslim ban. He, on the issue of Charlottesville, where people were peacefully protesting the need for racial justice, where a young woman was killed. And on the other side, there were neo-Nazis carrying tiki torches, shouting racial epithets, anti-Semitic slurs. And Donald Trump, when asked about it, said there were fine people on both sides. This is who we have as the president of the United States. And America, you deserve better. Joe Biden will be a president who brings our country together
Senator Harris.
and recognizes the beauty in our diversity and the fact that we
Senator
all
Harris,
have
thank
so
you.
much more in common than what separates us.
Vice President Pence, let me give you a minute to respond.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that very much. You know, I think this is one of the things that makes people dislike the media so much in this country, Susan, is that you selectively edit, just like Senator Harris did, comments that President Trump and I and others on our side of the aisle make. I mean, Senator Harris conveniently omitted, after the president made comments about people on either side of the debate over monuments, he condemned the KKK, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists, and has done so repeatedly. You're concerned that he doesn't condemn neo-Nazis. President Trump has Jewish grandchildren. His daughter and son-in-law are Jewish. This is a president who respects and cherishes all of the American people. But you talk about having personally prosecuted. I'm glad you brought up your record, Senator.
Thank you.
But I really need to make this point. When you were DA in San Francisco, when you left office, African Americans were 19 times more likely to be prosecuted for minor drug offenses than whites and Hispanics. When you were attorney
Wait a minute. You did.
you increased the disproportionate incarceration of
Thank
blacks
you.
in California.
Yeah.
You did nothing on criminal justice reform in California.
This is not real.
Mhm.
On Capitol Hill. I mean, the reality is your record
Thank
speaks
you,
for
Vice
itself.
President
President Trump and I have fought for criminal justice reform.
Thank you, Vice President
We've fought for
Pence.
educational choice and opportunities for African
You
Americans.
got.
Thank you, sir.
I
And we'll
almost
do it.
cussed inappropriately on the internet.
Important issue, the final issue that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is the issue of the election
But
itself.
he attacked my record. I would like an opportunity to respond.
Let me give you 30 seconds because we're running out of
I
time.
appreciate that. First of all, having served as the Attorney General of the state of California, the work that I did is a model of what our nation needs to do, and we will be able to do under a Joe Biden presidency. Our agenda includes what this administration has failed to do. It will be about not only instituting a ban on chokeholds and carotid holds.
Thank you.
Not only,
Thank you, Senator.
I would like to go through,
These are points that you made earlier in the hour, and I want to talk about the election itself before we have to.
but I want to talk about the connection between what Joe and I will do and my record.
And you did.
I didn't do that, Karma. Sorry,
I
boo.
was the first
Right. You had time and you didn't do it.
to institute a requirement that my agents would wear body cameras and keep them on full time. We were the first to initiate a requirement that there would be a training for law enforcement on implicit bias, because yes, Joe Biden and I recognize that implicit bias does exist, Mr. Vice President, contrary to what you may believe. We did the work of instituting reforms that were about investing in reentry. This is the work that we have done and the work we will do going forward. And again, I will not be lectured by the Vice President on our record of what we have done in terms of law enforcement and keeping our communities safe, and a commitment to reforming the criminal justice system of America.
Thank you, Senator Harris. And I'd like to pose I'd like you to respond first to the question on our final topic, the election itself. President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If your ticket wins and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what steps would you and Vice President Biden then take? What would happen next? You have 2 minutes.
So I'll tell you, Joe and I are, I think, particularly proud of the coalition that we've built around our campaign. We probably have one of the broadest coalitions of folks that you've ever seen in a presidential race. Of course, we have the support of Democrats, but also independents and Republicans. In fact, 7 members of President George W. Bush's cabinet are supporting our ticket. We have the
Said
support
that
of
already.
Colin Powell, Cindy McCain, John Kasich, over 500 generals, retired generals, and former national security experts and advisors are supporting our campaign. And I believe they are doing that because they know that Joe Biden has a deep, deep-seated commitment to fight for our democracy and to fight for the integrity of our democracy and to bring integrity back to the White House. And so we believe in the American people. We believe in our democracy. And here's what I'd like to say to everybody. Vote. Please vote. Vote early. Come up with a plan to vote. Go to iwillvote.com. You can also go to joebiden.com. We have it within our power in these next 27 days to make the decision about what will be the course of our country for the next 4 years. And it is within our power. And if we use our vote and we use our voice, we will win. And we will not let anyone subvert our democracy with what Donald Trump has been doing, as he did on the debate stage last week, when again in front of 70 million people, he openly attempted to suppress the vote. Joe Biden, on the other hand, on that same debate stage, because clearly Donald Trump doesn't think he can run on a record because it's a failed record, Joe Biden on that stage said, hey, just please vote. So I'll repeat what Joe said. Please vote.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Pence, President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If Vice President Biden is declared the winner and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what would be your role and responsibility as Vice President? What would you personally do? You have 2 minutes.
Well, Susan, first and foremost, I think we're going to win this election. Because while Joe Biden and Kamala Harris rattle off a long litany of the establishment in Washington, D.C., an establishment that Joe Biden's been a part of for 47 years, President Donald Trump has launched a movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. And I have every confidence that those same Americans that delivered that historic victory in 2016, they see this president's record where we rebuild our military. We revived our economy through tax cuts and rolling back regulation, fighting for fair trade, unleashing American energy. We appointed conservatives to our federal courts at every level. And we stood with the men and women of law enforcement every single day. And I think that movement of Americans has only grown stronger in the last 4 years. When you talk about accepting the outcome of the election, I must tell you, Senator, your party has spent the last 3.5 years trying to overturn the results of the last election. It's amazing. When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, The FBI actually spied on President Trump and my campaign.
Oh,
I
Lord.
heard documents released this week that the CIA actually made a referral to the FBI documenting that those allegations were coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And of course, we've all seen the avalanche, what you put the country through for the better part of 3 years until it was found there was no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then Senator Harris, you and your colleagues in the Congress tried to impeach the President of the United States over a phone call. And now Hillary Clinton has actually
Just
said
a phone call.
in her words, under no circumstances should he concede the election. So let me just say, I think we're going to win this election. President Trump and I are fighting every day in courthouses to prevent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris from changing the rules and creating this universal mail-in voting that will create a massive opportunity for voter fraud. And we have a free and fair election. We know we're going to have confidence in it. And I believe in all my heart that President Donald Trump's going to be reelected for 4 more years.
You know, I've written all the questions that I've asked tonight, but for the final question of the debate, I'd like to read a question that someone else wrote. The Utah Debate Commission asked students in the state to write essays about what they would like to ask you. And I want to close tonight's debate with the question posed by Brecklin Brown. She's an 8th grader at Springville Junior High in Springville, Utah. And here's what she wrote, quote, "When I watch the news, all I see is arguing between Democrats and Republicans. When I watch the news, all I see is citizen fighting against citizen. When I watch the news, all I see are 2 candidates from opposing parties trying to tear each other down. If our leaders can't get along, how are the citizens supposed to get along?" And then she added, "Your examples could make all the difference to bring us together," end quote. So to each of you in turn,
Mouths of babes.
and respond to Brecklin. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute.
Brecklin, it's a wonderful question. Let me just commend you for taking an interest in public life. I started following the news when I was very young. And in America, we believe in a free and open exchange of debate. And we celebrate that. It's how we've created literally the freest and most prosperous nation in the history of the world. But I would tell you that don't assume that what you're seeing on your local news networks is synonymous with the American people. You know, I look at the relationship between Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the late justice who we just lost from the Supreme Court, and the late Justice Antonin Scalia. They were on polar opposites on the Supreme Court of the United States, one very liberal, one very conservative. But what's been learned since her passing was the 2 of them and their families were the very closest of friends. I mean, here in America, we can disagree. We can debate vigorously, as Senator Harris and I have on this stage tonight. But when the debate is over, we come together as Americans. And that's what people do in big cities and small towns all across this country. So I just want to encourage you, Brecklin. I want to tell you that we're going to work every day to have government as good as our people. And the American people each and every day love a good debate. We love a good argument. But we always come together and are always there for one another.
Thank you.
In times of need. And we've
I want to be Kamala's anger translator.
difficulties of this year.
Senator Harris, what would you say to Brecklin?
First of all,
I love young leaders. And when I hear her words, when I hear your words, Brecklin, I know our future is bright because it is that perspective on who we are and who we should be. That is a sign of leadership and is something we should all aspire to be. And that, that brings me to Joe. Joe Biden, one of the reasons that Joe decided to run for president is after Charlottesville, which we talked about earlier. It so troubled him and upset him, like it did all of us, that there was that kind of hate and division. What propelled Joe to run for president was to see that over the course of the last 4 years, what Brecklin described has been happening. Joe has a long-standing reputation of working across the aisle and working in a bipartisan way. And that's what he's going to do as president. Joe Biden has a history of lifting people up and fighting for their dignity. I mean, you have to know Joe's story to know that Joe has known pain, he has known suffering, and he has known love. And so, Brecklin, when you think about the future, I do believe the future is bright. And it will be because of your leadership, and it will be because we fight for each person's voice through their vote, and we get engaged in this election because you have the ability through your work and through eventually your vote
Thank you,
to
Senator
determine
Harris.
the future of our country and what its leadership looks like.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Thank you, Vice President Pence. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We want to thank also the University of Utah for its hospitality, and most of all, our thanks to all the Americans who watched this debate tonight. Again, our best wishes for a quick recovery to President Trump, the First Lady, everyone who is battling COVID-19. The second presidential debate is next week on October 15th, a town hall debate in Miami. We hope you'll join us then.
Florida. Fuck yeah.
What the
That's the
fuck?
end of the vice presidential debate right there. What a difference a week makes. Two very different personalities on the stage tonight. They showed their personalities throughout the debate, both by what they said and didn't say, how they reacted when their opponent was
I
talking.
thought Pence was a little skinny into that though. He kind of a,
in attacking their opponents than defending the records of
He been Rona eating, chill.
questions from the moderator Susan Page, but
how you
He don't
think
like him either.
Susan did?
answering the question, didn't answer the
Huh?
questions at all.
Hi.
Kamala Harris scoring on the coronavirus, healthcare, and Russia. Mike Pence trying to steer things back to the economy and taxes. And David Muir, you're here. You said at the beginning, coronavirus front and center. It was.
Yeah, it is the backdrop of what we're going through in this country.
All right, cool,
And the
cool. We're
president
not
looking
going
at
to
all these
go through all
issues.
that
need their
part of it
conversation.
because we don't need
We're
the
gonna do our
conversation
own conversation.
because we got
Right.
our own stuff. Hold on.
Debate
Let
tonight,
me.
there was a stark contrast, I should say, on taxes, climate.
Bam. All right, cool. All right, bam. Back on Intelligently Ratchet. Yo, that was a debate. That was a debate. You know what I'm saying? We got about 30 more minutes on the show or whatever. You know what I'm saying? To go ahead and
Right.
try to break this joint down. Yo, it's like kind of like they said, some shit they was skating over. They was wrong.
I mean, because nobody really want to talk about, hey, so I know you invited me as the VP to run with you, but if you die though, like what, how you get sick, like, and I gotta take nobody wants to have that conversation. That's awkward as shit.
Exactly. Neither one of them did.
I think I would have been like, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and be able to take over with the succession. I mean, you know what I mean? It's built in, like that's all they had to
That's
say.
it. Like he selected me for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
I honestly, I could be.
We don't wish this on anyone, but this is the
But I'm ready.
preparation.
I'm ready. You know,
I'm ready. And yeah,
I'm the backup quarterback.
I'm ready and qualified. I'm like here. Never mind. Sorry. Keep going.
But I think, both will make some good points. You know what I'm saying? We both see weaknesses. Seen weaknesses in both of the campaigns. Like Biden and Harris is not perfect. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Not but you got to look at like we could go off because she made some real fucking strong points about, you know what I'm saying, what caught a lot of people to what they were listening for, right? Was if you want a police reform, then you seen what a Trump administration is.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because Kamala was like, yo, you know what I mean? She was like, yo, it's bad cops out there. You know what I mean? And she made it. She was like, yeah, shit, I prosecuted and all that other shit. You know, I did my job. But she was like, yo, with the shit that you talking?
Yeah, because first he was like, I trust the justice system to make good choices.
She like, I was a part of the justice system. I know it was fucked up.
But then he was like, but we work toward reform. So you can't say that you think implicit bias isn't real and then claim that you like advocated for reform because of implicit bias and such. You can't do both. You can't, and did it in within like 4 minutes of each other.
Right.
And I'm like, choose a side.
Right, you got to choose a side.
Mhm.
If it is going to implicit bias or it's not. The climate change joint was a real big one for me too. You know what I'm saying? Because it was more like American jobs. But I'm like, yeah, of course it's for American jobs because you're gonna lose jobs that make dirty energy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's the reason why you're moving toward clean energy. Now, if those
Mhm.
companies buy into clean energy, then guess what? People don't lose the jobs. But you know what I'm saying? It was once a motherfucker out there that was cleaning up horse shit with a broom until they got street sweepers or until they got cars. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
And they learned the fuck how to transition
right,
or found a different work field, like a field to work in.
right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't want anybody to lose their job. But again, you know what I'm saying? If you are putting pollutants in the air, there aren't going to be generations after that to enjoy the planet. This is selfish. It's selfish. It's like, yeah, I know you need a job, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah, I don't know.
But we can transition those same employees, right? Those same workers. We can transition those same workers to like plants where they work in factories and they, make
Wind machines.
clean fuel products.
Right.
They make solar panels. We kind of miss. We can still do that, but we had a space where that could have been like the jump on transition, right?
Mhm.
I don't know that we're going to get to lead in it now. Like China over there rubbing their hands like Birdman in it, but we still have a place. We can still do it within our own country and like transition some of those jobs to renewable jobs.
Right.
And I was talking to somebody about this and they were saying, well, it's not the same. But if you talk to, I grew up in Indiana, right? The Midwest is well known for factory work, right? That's what most people do there. Black, white, Hispanic, that's what most people do. They work in factories. So you can go work at a factory that makes blinds and then leave that job and go work at the Hummer plant, right? So, and that was pretty common where if you found a better factory that paid more, gave you better benefits, whatever, you got laid off from one and you work somewhere else. So the skill set is transferable, right? Mm-hmm. So if they just structure it in a similar model, these jobs within those kind of industries don't necessarily have to be lost. They just transition to another space and place.
I believe the same thing. I mean, it's just like you transition any other time. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like because I look at what Ford did and everything like that when they was like during COVID, they was like, okay, people are not buying cars, so you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make face masks and PPE, and we're gonna help out this way. You know what I'm saying? It was probably like an auto manufacturer that made those barriers that they were in front of. It was like they just pivoted. It's all about a pivot, you know.
2020 has been the year of the pivot, right? And it doesn't matter if we're talking about businesses or your home life or your family life. Like, for you to survive through this, like through a pandemic, our pandemic, within what the other things that have occurred, it's the pivot. It's you being able to quickly assess and adjust, right? And the thing is that it's not been one pivot; it might be 4, right? You got to quickly assess and adjust and move. But it's an example that we are capable of moving like that we are capable of transitioning, and that we have a country full of people. Not everybody, there are definitely people who have found challenge and they haven't been able to, and it doesn't mean that they're less worthy or valuable. It's all circumstantial, but we're capable of adjusting. You know what I mean? Whether it be in our jobs or somewhere else, we're capable of it.
And sometimes it's just really, you know what I mean? A lot of luck. It's a lot of luck. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of know-how. It's a lot of being open to new opportunities, because you can survive if you just don't allow yourself to be in the place that you are. You know, you got to adapt. You know what I'm saying? You being able to adapt helps you out in this economy. You know what I mean? Or helps you out during this time. You know what I mean? With the pivot, like you said, sometimes you got to go ahead and Elijah on that shit. You got to do the dream shake. You got to 4 or 5 pump fakes, pivot. You know what I'm saying? shake them out. But you know what I mean. But you could get through it. You know, so that's one of the
So this year should show us as a people, as an American people, that we are fucking capable of like the quick move. Like there are bars that sell fucking burgers because they made a backyard. There are bars that turned into food, like food markets, and I'm talking about just locally within our own city, right? Yeah. Think about how businesses have transitioned. Like Barry Guasol, one of the fellas, I think the guy that was like one of the shoe shining fellas, they had hired him for a while as their delivery driver, right? So it's about being able to move and then doing it with intentionality. And this has just been our practice run of being intentional in that capacity, I think.
And also it shows that some of the old ways don't work anymore, right? This is a big thing that you don't have to do business as usual because now there is another way. Because shoot, like even with us, you know what I'm saying? Now you can figure out, like, you know what I mean, I'm in IT, that a lot of places now can say we don't have to have a brick and mortar.
No.
I don't need a brick and mortar anymore. I can just simply just have everybody work from home. We rent a local office space every month or something like that to come in and do a shared office space and do a meeting or whatever. But with the advent of Zoom, you don't have to lose like the days. Like I just said this the other day, the days of dressing business casual should be over.
And then also we don't have to, it's alleviating, not everywhere, but in a lot of places, it's alleviating the traffic issue, right? Yeah. We've been so light rail this, we all need these things to cut down on the congestion on the highways, and we projected increasing and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, rush hour ain't a thing really.
Right.
And with a lot of companies realizing how much money they can save by having their employees that are as productive work from home, ain't no reason. So all of these things this year are teaching us what we're capable of as like American citizens, human people. And we definitely
should allow the robots to take over. We should definitely allow the robots to take over.
Right. You know,
yes,
like it was a challenge when I had to get rid of my BlackBerry. It didn't feel good.
Why didn't you want to get rid of your BlackBerry?
Because it was the shit. You know it was the shit. Like, because the buttons, you could touch the buttons and you could type on there's real buttons and the buttons work. There won't no need for autocorrect. I said what I said when I typed it. And then the ball started falling out.
Shout out to BBM.
Remember when the ball started falling, little ball started falling out your shit? And you try to shut that motherfucker back in? However, if you have BlackBerries, there are Nigerians that are happy to take them off your hands. So if you over here stockpiling BlackBerries, for real.
Why are they so happy? Well, I don't know. I don't know why they happy to take them.
Cause they work better. They understand the value, but they like them. Like there's a group of people who just likes a certain product, and sometimes it's not necessarily. You're like, why don't they go on an iPhone or Android? Mm-hmm. I think it's got something to do with the network.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, I think it's got something to do with the network. It works better with the infrastructure. Okay, cool. I just want to know. Yeah, so I've traded goods for services of like with the BlackBerry.
That's dope.
Fuck y'all, both of y'all.
Hey.
I saw y'all all your shit together just now.
You said it, I didn't.
You traded goods for some. Hey, whatever. Hey, you know what? Shoot. What I'm saying is this right here. I am here not to judge. We are non-judgmental and an open thinking podcast, and we will whatever you feel as though that you want is great. And also to go to Raph and Tico, Tom Hanks is dropping another movie too. You know what I'm saying? About where he saves a little girl. How about that?
And him and Busta Rhymes got a mixtape dropping next month.
How about that? Raph, where was you at last week, man? We missed you on Straight to Tape. You wasn't there. We didn't like it. We didn't like it. You wasn't on Straight to Tape. But But also, let's keep it on the debate. Let's not go off of it because I'm only giving you 2 minutes, Justin. You know what I'm saying? So your overall, did the debate? Well, first of all, this debate was a very great debate. It was what I call it a master debate.
Mm.
Can we call that?
You were waiting for that one.
Debate?
You were waiting for that one. You were trying to find an excuse to. It's okay. I'll let you have that one.
Well, we had the debacle last week. You know what I'm saying? So this would be the master debate. There was
Got you.
Did this master debate change your view on like who you were voting for or shine any light on any one of the candidates in the future?
No. It didn't. I wasn't swayed either way. Right. I wasn't swayed either way by either candidate. Each one had a couple of points. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, good point, but it really wasn't a whole lot when you decide they both weren't answering questions. Right. They skated around and yeah. It
felt better if they would have been straight on.
I didn't get anything from either one. Wasn't impressed.
And so basically, if we go back through all the vice presidential debates, we all feel the same that they were all trash.
Sure.
But at least this one, like the only reason why we paid more attention to this one is because
of all the shit from last week.
Yeah, because all the shit from last week. We just wanted to feel some sort of normalcy.
Yeah, exactly. Like this should have been the debate. Well, no. The debate that we got last week should have been the debate that we got last week based on the people that they are.
Right.
We got the debate this week based on the people that they are.
Right.
Yeah, that's real.
What I'm gonna say this right here. Let's talk about body language. I like Kamala's body.
First of all,
when she did this right here, she was like, first of all.
First of all, I'm telling y'all, yo.
And then when she said her shit, and she was like, listen, things that y'all know about black women. I'm gonna tell you this right here, women of color. If they make a point and if they fold their hands, that point has been made. And then she did this right here. She was like,
So that's the like there's supposed to be called a power pose. Right. Like the men sit with their arms out and their legs spread. It's supposed to be like a power pose. It's the female version, it's the woman's version of the power pose. It's like yeah.
Say what you're gonna say. Come on, boo boo. Come on.
Yeah. Please say something. Please say something. And what you're not gonna do is we just wanted to see a black woman talk shit. Is that okay?
First of all, you think these barricades gonna save you?
I'm open, nigga.
She leaned back. She had to catch herself. That was hilarious, man. That was hilarious. So we gotta talk about this right here. The Fly. Was The Fly a part of distraction by the liberals to mess up
Pence and not listen to anything he says at that point?
Right. Was it a distraction? Because was The Fly?
I think it was a mechanical drone.
Me too. Damn it! I hate when you say things before I say him. Yes, it was a drone.
It was a micro drone.
Was it feeding information inside of Pence's robotic head? Is what we're asking.
Nah, I don't think it was feeding. I think it was supposed to be a distraction to not listen to what Pence was saying at the time and to just focus on the fly on the head. Can you remember what he was talking about?
No.
What the topic was?
No.
The Fly.
Why did The Fly stay for 30 minutes? It didn't move. Like
I told you, we talked about this earlier. It's pomade. Remember the Let's Jam, Justin. You got lots of women in your family. So remember Let's Jam gel. Like, first of all, it's like pomade
blue.
gel, and when you tap the jar, it like echo. Yes, and he uses Let's Jam gel on his hair. It's a pomade gel.
Let's
the
jam.
damn drone, the drone got stuck in the pomade gel.
Oh, so the fly was in
it.
I'm trying. No, I don't want to be here. I'm trying to listen. Someone help me. He finally got.
I don't think the drone was there to transfer information. I think it was a distraction. Because, like I said, once again, do you remember what he was talking about?
Nothing.
When the fly was. And when you go on your Facebook timeline, people are talking about the fly, not what Pence was saying, but the fly.
Let's go ahead. If you do that, let's. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm about to jump on my Facebook timeline. Yeah, as we speak, because due to technology, it allows us to go ahead and do both. I can actually do two things at once. Let's go.
What else? Well, Justin, you were looking already, right? You had looked during the time throughout there.
Yeah.
So what were the dialogues? What were the dialogues that the people were having about the debate? What were
Kamala calling him out on his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I only seen. I mean, I don't have. The one I saw, one was supporting Pence. And then the rest was stuff about the fly. That was it.
the fly took precedent over everything.
Yo, I'm about to say I see more posts about the fly than I did just about the debate. Period.
That's yeah. So it worked. So the distraction, the micro drone.
You don't know what he was saying at the time. He's probably spitting some straight facts,
right?
But no one's gonna remember it because
of the fly, and especially when Saturday Night Live hit this shit. You know what I'm saying?
The fly is gonna be big as fuck. The fly on Saturday Night Live. Hold on. Let me find some shit. The fly gonna be this motherfucking big.
Why are you under the table? Like, yo, have you noticed that? Have you been under the table this whole time, sweetheart?
This whole time she been under the table.
This fly gonna be this damn big.
Yup.
And the motherfucker, when he get to his head, it's gonna get this damn big.
It's gonna be Jeff Goldberg.
Giant, nigga. It's gonna be fucking giant fly. And it's gonna like move down his face just to fuck with us and be like.
Like every time they cut back, the flies go. It's gonna be the Ray J hat.
I'm not under, so I'm sitting at a table. I'm sitting on the floor. That's all.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was trying to watch for where I was at. Damn it, the fly. Man. So we don't know nothing about the debate except for first of all, and the fly. That's what's up. You know, I mean, motherfuckers was watching.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I don't think that this swayed anybody.
I don't think
that most people know who they was gonna vote for 2 weeks ago.
Right. I don't think any vice presidential debate has swung. Well, maybe for the maybe McCain and Palin with her doing her debate, that might have swung a couple of people like, oh nah, fuck that. We can't have her ass in the thing. But I don't think really a lot of times like that the vice president debate will really swing that vote because all they do is just champion the people that they're under.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I don't think it was there necessarily to swing. I think it winds up being at this point, it's just media content. I hate to say that, but feels like
we needed this right here. We need comment like, go ahead, boo boo. First of all, let me finish. And that smile, her smile was like, nigga.
I told you I want to be her anger interpreter. I want to be. I heard her being like, nigga, really? Right,
yo, when listen, she was smiling. That smile wasn't it. She was like, listen, you playing yourself, homie.
Nah. That's you lying. Like she wants to say so much.
And then what she would do, like if you go back and look at the debate on the split screen, like she was, as you were speaking, she was just staring at the side of his head the whole time. Like, you know how eyes are with you when you
burned a hole through the plastic.
You be like I would have been like this, like, nigga, what the fuck is going on?
The plexiglass got a hole in it.
Got a hole in it, yo. You burn. I feel a lot of heat from that side of the room. But nah, I think it was at some points, you know what I'm saying, some places or whatever, they both have a little shady joints and they went at it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I like the way that they, you know what I mean, with the question from the young lady, when she asked about like why is it all the argument and stuff like that, and they really you know, they really hit something home. It was like, you know, people can debate, be on totally different sides of the aisle, and you feel as though they're enemies, and then at the end of the day, they're cool as shit. Because
on the weekends, they kids play together. They be bickering on CNN, and then they kids play together.
Right.
I think that we have to take that into consideration because we take sides. You know what I'm saying? We make these our teams, but we don't realize that, you know, it's like motherfucking. So basketball, since AAU came into the picture, how all those motherfuckers be friends. It ain't like it was in the 90s.
Right? You hated the motherfuckers, right?
You hated that motherfucker, and you've been hating him since y'all was in college. Fuck that motherfucker, right?
Right.
Now it's like, oh, I know him since I was 12, and we ate Lunchables together and shit.
But then at the end of the day, it's like this. They hate each other during the season. You know what I'm saying? They hate each other during the season. You know what I mean? Because that's where it was. But then in the off season, Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan, like when
they on the damn banana boat joint together.
Right. But I'm saying even with the dream team and stuff like that, when they all played together for one cause, it was like, you know what I'm saying? So
when they were together, right, yeah. You know, so I think sometimes we take things, we take politics in a way where yes, it's important, yes, it's a real thing, but it's not necessarily as cut and dry as they try to make it when we watch television.
No, it's not.
Also, for anybody watching, even if it's the whole presidential election messes y'all up and you get frustrated, you don't like the bickering and back and forth, vote in your local elections. You can get a sample ballot right now. If you're in North Carolina, I don't know what about the other states, but you can get your sample ballots and then you can do your research and see who to vote for locally. Like, vote for your local elections. Yeah. Like, the ballot is a front and back sheet, right? And I mean that there's information, there are elections to vote in on the front and on the back. So it's not just your presidential candidates. No. So even if you feeling shitty about, you know, politics in regards to your presidential choices, pick the damn ballot up and vote for the people locally. Because that's the shit that's gonna make the difference. If you like, oh, they don't care about me, that's fine. Right. Feel that way. The things that will impact your everyday and your kids and what they eat and whether your streets get clean are the people in your city and in your state.
Say it again for the motherfuckers. Say it for the motherfuckers.
Vote fucking locally.
Vote motherfucking locally. If you don't know nothing else, what Intelligent Ratchet said, you vote motherfucking locally. That's what it is. If you don't like what's going on in the president, because guess what? It trickles down. But the local cats get to you first. You know what I'm saying? So that's right. Just like the mayor Steve Schultz pushing for reparations. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's that. People of Durham, people of color in Durham, or black people in Durham. You know what I'm saying? Even though the nation ain't doing it, at least locally, you're in your city, your mayor is saying, "Hey, we looking into this reparations thing."
It's about values, right? It's about a value set being enacted. Whether the components of it are broad reaching or not. It's about exemplifying a value set, right? And then that being moved forward in some way, or at least those individuals have the opportunity to meet with other lawmakers and have those kind of conversations, right? And it may be a conversation where somebody that doesn't understand why reparations may matter, has a dialogue with our mayor or another senator, and they come to some understanding of what this actually means and what it is, versus thinking that it's a government handout of some type and processing it that way, right?
It's not a government handout. No, it's because reparations could never be a government handout.
But that's how if you're uneducated in regards to certain things, it's perceived, right? There's a group of people who just process this as like some kind of like government handout. And it's
because I'm not getting it, and you guys are getting it, and that's the reason. But like,
right,
it's not that point. But like
Native American people, Asian American people, this ain't new. No, it's not new.
Nope,
it's not. And I honestly think, and if we talk about reparations, I honestly think that we gotta stop like joking on black folks. Black people be joking on each other about like stuff. Well, you know, they better not give it to us in cash, because if they do, we're just gonna buy Cadillacs. I'm uncomfortable with the fact that we don't necessarily have understanding or faith within our own community of each other's ability to be like in some component fiscally responsible. Like, I know we make jokes, right? But if you really think about it, we all know we live in North Carolina. We know some Native Americans, and we know some chick who done gave the dude that she was seeing. He was dating her because he knew her check was coming, and she gave him $6,000 like to go, you know, buy this cutlass or to go get the cutlass paint job or something, right? And that's tricking the money off. Fine, yeah. But for the like maybe the other 90% of those individuals who got checks, they bought a house, right? They may have paid down some debt, right? They created opportunity. They might have bought into some business opportunities. I personally think, like, look around now, like how Black people are paying attention to like financial stuff. Right now, Justin's always talking about all the opportunities for entrepreneurship and the stock market. I really believe that if reparations came from the federal level and the cash payments, Black people will go buy land and buy shit together. Right. Like, I think that there would be like Facebook groups where they would be meeting each other to buy and get things together. Right. And it wouldn't be Cadillac. So it's frustrating when I see like us talk about each other like that. It feels like we're taking on the ideas of what white people told us that we used to be. Right. What white people used to think of us as, rather.
And I said this right here. Yeah, of course we're gonna have people that's gonna fuck their money up. We're gonna have people that's gonna fuck your money up. But you know what we're gonna have? We're gonna have people in place to help people that do fuck their money up. So it's gonna be like this. You're giving me, you see, because what I look at, I'm like this. I absolutely know that it's gonna be a percentage of people that are gonna fuck their money up, right? They're gonna get it and they're gonna fuck it up. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm gonna figure out a way with my money how to build a business to help you get back on your feet after you fuck that money up. So what I'm going to do, I'm not only just making money off of my money, I'm making money off of your money. Because when you get if you get the reparations check that we deserve, then guess what? That is a life-changing amount of money.
Reparations is going to be the name of your business. Right. Reparations.
Let me help you. Let me help you get back on your feet. Or do this right here. See, because what we do is this right here. Just don't, because this will give us an opportunity to start the new Tulsa, Oklahoma countrywide. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because now that gives, like you said, that gives people buying power to say, okay, if you don't like the way JetBlue work, well, buy your own. Right. Buy your 10
people come together, right? 10, 15 people come together and create their own entity.
Yeah.
Right? 10 people come together, buy the planes, and 15 people come together and build some airports. Right. There's ways for this to all work, but I just wish people wouldn't talk down about, like, we wouldn't talk down about each other like that. That the idea that we're not intelligent or capable, and that we would just trick it off. Like, I don't believe that.
They said that about the Black quarterback too. So you know what I'm saying? That's I always go back to that point. It's like this. They said the same thing, because we always say the NFL is a microcosm of the U.S. And what happened is Weeda Baker will help you flip your reparation money.
Hey!
Yep. But you know what I'm saying? But I think that, you know what I'm saying, same thing with a Black quarterback. Now it's like it's unheard of almost to have a team to have not to have a Black quarterback at this point in time. It's a norm.
Yeah.
Same thing, you know what I mean? But back then, when War Moon was playing, he had to prove like I'm Black, I can play quarterback. I'm smart enough to play quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like this. Now it's an everyday thing. So then it's like, in the same thing with business ownership and everything like that. Now we are starting to get to the place where my kids will know how to know 10 times more than I know about the stock market.
Yeah, the financial literacy component will be higher for Black folks.
Right. And then by the time their kids come up, then we're on the same level at that point in time.
And that capacity, yes. And that will literacy, financial literacy wise, yeah, we can be there if we're intentional about it for sure. So I'm just saying, like, I don't think we're gonna trick it off.
No, I don't think we're trick. I don't think it's like this. People too much, like it's too many entrepreneurs out there. It's like, because everybody's going to think that, everybody's going to get a record label and everything like that. Or we're going to rap like, no, we got to.
What's going to happen? Somebody's going to start a sanitation business. He going to leave his fucking job and start a moving company. Like it's going to be smaller on some scale, but then it's going to be larger. Like,
that's what I mean.
The types of discrimination and I don't say oppression, but that kind of stuff that we face working within other entities where you have to feel like you can't be yourself and the code switching shit,
right?
Like that allows for you to that financial resource or reservoir allows for you to just not work for that motherfucker no more. You can do the IT work, Bishop. Like you can do the IT console shit on your own, right? It's just been you needing to have benefits that got in the way, and you didn't have the money to start up the benefits and the LLC and pull everything together and take care of your family.
And honestly, not wanting to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like this. It's like this. When you get that type, you know what I'm saying? When you get a certain type of way, it's like this. Because one thing about great leadership is knowing when you have your holes and knowing how to get the people around you that can fill those holes. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I'm an A to Z guy.
All 9 of them, all 9 holes.
Right. You got 9 holes? Oh. Lovecraft County,
country, Bishop. Lovecraft Country, Bishop.
County. How about that? Like, can we do? It's too late to do a spoiler. How about the dark skinned vampire at the end? Loved it. Loved the dark skinned vampire.
Oh gosh, this was a really good episode, right?
I like the bulletproof.
So Keisha told me, huh?
I like the bulletproof when she was sitting there, like how you're sitting on the floor when they shot the house up, and she realized she was bulletproof, and she was just sick of the shit, and she did this right here. She was like.
not really, but kinda. It was the same technology,
right?
And it flew past. I wasn't ready, so I'm thinking. So the spell shit. Was that the spell, or was that just because he sensed that he was family and didn't fuck him up? Like, what was that part? Was that the spell working?
Yeah, I think what it was, they thought the spell was going to do something else, and it actually worked. Or Pop said that shit backwards, and that's the spell that they got. Because remember, he said he was dyslexic.
He's dyslexic, and I was waiting for a reason for them to have told us that.
Right.
Yo, oh girl, the Korean chick. I'm waiting to see is she gone, or she gonna pop off on Christina.
I don't think what it is. I don't think she is going to be an adversary anyway, because she loves Atticus so much, right? And you know what I'm saying, she never wanted to hurt Atticus, so I think she's going to be a real ally, if that's anything. Like if some shit really pop off, she gonna do that. You're right. Pops is not the father. Pops is the we know that. I put that in the post when your daddy was your uncle and he died, and then your uncle was your stand-in daddy because your mama was his beard. You know what I'm saying? So that's what.
Yeah, that was a lot, but it's true.
Is that it? Yeah, that's it. So I'm absolutely right on point with you, Nadi, on that one. But yeah, man, I think that was the spell. I think the spell, what it was, they thought it was going to be some shit like kind of like the way she experienced.
Yeah. Like it was going to be a shield or some gold shit around them.
But yeah, they didn't realize what they did, and that shit was dope. So.
And them dancing ass scary jigaboos. Wait, what are they called? I'm sorry, I don't think I said that right.
Right, Mopsy and Topsy.
Thank
Mopsy
you.
and Topsy. Yes, those. I didn't, for real. And those are grown ass women. I thought they were little girls. I was like, these little girls could go ahead and they can.
Right. They get this money.
They are doing they shit.
I bet they make a lot of shit on TikTok. And then I was like, oh, these are professional women dance. Hey, she's look at that, Jesus. She was like, I want to.
Yeah, hold on. My darn internet acting a monkey. Hold on.
Oh no.
Naughty. Hold on. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look on Facebook to see what Naughty looking like on Facebook because my internet acting up. Y'all good? Because I can't hear you yet. Hold on. Sorry about that.
They're good. They're like the women. They were great dancers.
Hold on, Naughty.
And it was artistic. So even though like Keisha told me to watch it the next day, she was like, "Don't watch this at night. Like don't watch it at night because I'm scary."
Yeah, because you scary as shit.
It wasn't scary. It was intriguing.
Hold on, Naughty. We want to hear what you're saying, boo, because I can't hear nothing. She didn't even popped up on my thing yet. Hold on.
Oh.
Y'all talk amongst each other.
Can you hear me, Candy?
I can.
Oh, okay.
You can. That's what I'm saying. You can hear. I can't. Y'all talk. I'm come back into the studio. I'm coming right back.
Okay. You said it was intriguing?
It was intriguing. I thought it was intriguing anyway, but maybe that was just
right. So yeah.
Okay,
I just thought I was gonna be more scared, but they were
a name though. I forget what it is. It starts with an S. They're not vampires though. Because that's what was tripping me out. Like to me, a vampire is like, a human being. Those things with all the eyes, they're not vampires, but I understand that's the terminology that we're using, but they haven't.
Right.
So, and the dude mentioned it in whoever I agree. I did like that dude's recap style. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the hardest thing for me to take about this episode was when Captain Old Boy Loogie and Diana. I was like, yo, man. What in a homemade slime experiment is this?
It was what? Hey, Raph.
You need to go on a Dr. Sebi cleanse. You're not supposed to have all that mucus.
Raph. What I'm gonna say, Raph. Hold on, I'm gonna say this right. Raph. It's not. It's. If you could take a little bit of spookiness in between your sci-fi, your love story, it's little nuggets. It's not like
that was a huge nugget of phlegm. Okay, like
right.
No.
But
that was a lot of phlegm, and it was stressful to watch her. Like it was very uncomfortable to watch her in a headlock and like get pushed down. All of that was really uncomfortable.
Hey, but I was here for that "fuck you, pig" at the end.
Yo, she was wilding, yes.
But you know what I looked at it? It was like this. It was kind of like the way, like even young girls and even kids of color, how they have to deal with stress alone. Right?
Yeah.
Like everybody was a little bit too busy to talk about her prop. So like, and I think even a lot of us, depending on how we grew up, we had to deal with a lot of stresses at a young age by ourselves. We had to learn how to work through that shit. You know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, and she found the perfect way to work through that shit. She found the trap. And she was right. She was fucking Moxie and Popsy up until the adult came in at the wrong time and fucked up our whole flow.
I know. Hey, but here's another question. Do you think that the two girls that she threw the rocks at outside the ice cream shop, do you think those were also played by the Moxie and Topsy characters? Because it was a darker skinned and a lighter skinned girl that she threw the rocks at. That was just something.
You know what I like to call that foreboding. That was like saying, okay, you were mean to these kids, now these other kids. But those little girls she threw rocks at weren't the girls that played Mopsy and Topsy, because those girls that played Mopsy and Topsy were grown ass women. I didn't know they was grown ass women. They super grown. So
you were just short because they looked about the same size. Like you can't tell.
I think what it was. I think it was the clothes and it was camera angling. The camera.
It's the makeup. The makeup did that for you. Right. Like you have to remember that there are certain fields of work, like Gymnasts are
gymnasts,
small.
yeah, they don't really
Gymnasts and
develop like
dancers are small people. They're not
Yeah.
5'10". That's rare. They're
Right.
smaller
Yeah,
people.
you are already 5'2". You know what I'm saying? All we gotta do is kind of like just put a 6'6" person next to you, and then you're 4'11" at that point in time. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Or just make
I don't
something
think that
higher.
matters.
Just make like the walls, the something look taller. Yeah, it's not that complicated.
Yeah, it's not that
Yeah,
complicated.
they're probably smaller women in terms of stature.
Mm-hmm. But when I say this right here, them goddamn dance moves was the shit, boy. They should be on TikTok.
That's why it was intriguing instead of scary. It was creepy, yes, but it would have been a different level of scary for me if there wasn't an obvious skill set. The first time I saw it, I was like, the second time I was like, okay, they're here. Okay, shit. The third time I was like, these motherfuckers can dance.
Right.
So I was softly into it, you know. So
it was the teeth. That dental work is what did it for me. I was like,
it's the teeth for me.
the dental work and the nails. I was like, this is nothing good. But also,
nails and motherfuckers was growing. They was like,
let's talk about Letty ain't never gonna get no permanent renters. Her house is cursed. Like it's a Rizzy, okay?
Yo, when I say this right here, when it was so fucking satisfying when he tried to walk up in that goddamn house and that shit stopped him. Ooh, nigga, I peed. I peed a little bit. I was like, you know what I did? I commented. I was like, that's what your ass get. You shouldn't have. That's what your ass get. And then I leaned.
He looked at that. I thought he was gonna wipe that blood mark off, and I was couldn't. About to be.
He's like, and that's when he did that shit. He's like, get out. I said, oh shit, he about to do something, and immediately just start shooting the spot up.
Yeah, immediately. That's what I'm saying.
It's the most satisfying racism I've ever experienced. The show is full of satisfying racism.
The most satisfying part was when the asphalt with eyes popped up and ate everybody.
Yeah.
Ate them all. But so what I'm going to see is how they're going to explain that in the next episode, because when the thing went off the first time with the people in the woods, you didn't really have to, explain anything. But that happened.
Hold on.
They got that spell. All they got to do is have a spell shit, right?
Right, because remember the spell on those that you remember.
You gotta have the whistle. The whistle.
No, not the whistle.
Blow the whistle.
Remember the spell in the first episode. Remember when Unc and her, they couldn't remember what happened the next day.
Yeah, but that was because of the whistle.
Right.
No, that was because of the spell. No, that was a spell on the vampires. Like, go back and watch it.
It's the whistle. The whistle makes the things go away, and it makes people forget. That's why they couldn't remember. It's the whistle.
I thought it was the thing.
Hold on.
Okay.
The whistle. Trust me.
Okay, you're right.
It's the whistle that erases people's memories. So somebody gotta. I mean, I guess we'll find out. But that, I appreciated, the full explanation of Gia's, about the nine-tailed fox, like that, instead of having to piece together.
Yeah, that was a good episode, but it was frustrating. I agree.
Well, and I wasn't really here for Letty's drama over something that happened in Korea. Like, chick, you wasn't there for that. You wasn't checking for him, and that was the past. It was the past, and plus, before y'all all got into, I
think it's moody because she's pregnant.
I know, but I'm just saying, before they had all got jumped into the gang of the magical land, would she really have believed him if he said, hey, I was fucking a Korean chick, and then she turned into some hairy type of beast, and
her tail came out.
Then I got shipped home. Like, she
Can I say this right here? Listen, could the nine-tailed Korean chick you smashed back in Korea 2 years ago or a couple months ago be forgotten about when you are chasing the woods by 100-eye blobbigle bleach? Right.
Exactly.
And your uncle died. Hold on. Your uncle died. A house fall on you. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then so it's like,
you got other shit and concerns.
Right. First of all, you went through a tunnel. You went through a tunnel that made you warp travel from Chicago all the way from Chicago to St. Louis and back. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Whose bionic arm is that? Is that Dee's bionic arm? Because her shit get fucked up?
I think
they showed us her arm getting scratched up for a reason, right?
Right.
Bionic arm?
Because I don't remember the bionic arm. I have to watch that part again from from episode 7, I guess. But I'm hoping that it's a bionic arm because I do remember the captain saying that, she's already dead. And so I was like, oh, what does that mean?
Wait, what? You remember the captain saying that who was dead?
When after she spat on his tie and said, fuck you, pig, and the captain, I think he's Captain Lancaster, he was like, whatever. It doesn't matter, forget about her. Like, she's already dead.
Right. So I think they're gonna go through a whole process. If you look at the previews of the next week's episode, I think that infection grows through a process where she starts to turn into Mopsy Topsy.
They said that she was possessed, right? Like in the preview, they mentioned possessed, that she was possessed.
And I want to go back to Mopsy and Topsy or whatever. And I want to say this right here. In the show, you really didn't get to see how dope that makeup was. But when you see the stills of them shits, like they really did an excellent job on that makeup. That makeup is really, because we missed a lot. First, we just thought they were scarred up little girls. I like the glowing eye aspect of it when they were coming down the joint. That was creepy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like the glowing eyes and how they broke the fourth wall too. You know what I'm saying? It was like when she went into they always knew you were watching them, and then they would look directly in the screen, like at the camera. Like when she went into the garage, she didn't keep walking to the garage. She turned around, poked her head out, did the tongue thing, and then went into the garage. It was like, yeah, you see what we about to do. And did that shit. That shit was dope as fuck. I thought that
was. What about the sex scene?
Oh God. Oof.
Okay, listen.
Clean up on aisle 5. Okay.
Y'all, that was so much.
That was. You know what? I don't know. I'm gonna say this. I want to say this for all gentlemen that have traveled down the Red Wings or whatever. You know.
Get awards.
You've been there in the dark. You know what I'm saying, with a towel or whatever. And if you are a perfect gentleman, you make sure that she doesn't. But when you go in that bathroom later on, it looks like that. It looks like there's a bunch of Karen skin all over you, and it's just bad. It's bad. It's just
that's
bad.
That's what we talk about. We always talk about those memes of what real men.
You better take that.
Shout out to real men.
You better take that WAP however you can get it.
That's right. Tell shit. Be quiet, man.
Whole room be smelling.
All the Red Wing. Yep. That's real man shit. Yup. Grown ass man.
I ain't look like a murder scene. Listen.
You've never seen a fucking murder scene. That sounds stupid.
Listen, that shit looks like a murder scene. Okay, you don't know what I've seen in my life. You don't.
Y'all always have the option of keeping the dick dry. Okay.
Naughty.
Oh, man.
Naughty. What I'm saying is this right here, because we grown. It never happens. See, it's like this. It never happens. That situation never happens when you 20 minutes away. When I can come back next week. It always happens when it's like I'm coming in from California. You know what I'm saying? We ain't seen each other since high school. We've been talking shit for the last 10 years or whatever. Then boom.
Like I said, always, ain't nobody have a gun to your head, forcing you into the murder pool. Okay. Dry dick is always an option.
I didn't drive 600 miles to come see you. And then that shit come on. I'm gonna knock it on. Boom. It's coming.
Both of y'all is tripping. It should be normal procedure. As long as she's I'm not in too bad of a mood or too so whatever. I think that she should go for that shit always.
What I'm saying is this, right? I'm okay. If I can let you handle that, then I'm okay. I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want the murder scene, you know what I'm saying, going down. But listen.
Well, then blindfold yourself like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I mean,
close your eyes, nigga. It's okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
It's the murder scene. It's the
Mobb Deep. We'll play Mobb Deep murder music and enjoy it.
Right.
Hey, whatever floats you. Listen. I'm just gonna say my experience with it is a lot different than everybody else's experience with it.
Okay, this is a question though. We're skipping over your little trauma and triggeration.
I appreciate you.
How is it that Ruby, like William, you know what I mean? Did she have the extra strong blood potion because they didn't both like crack out of their skin?
I think Ruby. I think hers is a little bit different because she had another connection with old boy or something like. And I think if I go back, he also, because you know the mark of Cain, right? He also had the mark of Cain on his chest. Remember when he was
right? Now we're getting to all the markings, right? So now, like the mark on that Tick saw on his cousin, it's like, oh, these are different protection spells, right? It's not just random birthmarks that we trying to connect. They're spells. It's like, oh.
And speaking of spells and marks, what about Christina? Then, I mean, was she trying to be empathetic or compassionate when she hired the henchman to kill her so that she could?
I think what she wanted to do, she did two things. Ruby challenged her, right? She did two things. Ruby challenged her, and I think that she's cold, but she's one of those characters. I think she cares about Ruby. You know what I'm saying? Also,
clearly.
So I think that can somebody sit Candy, can you send Tico the link real quick? So I think that she cares about, and she wanted to feel, because she understood that she was truthful in the fact that I don't feel anything. I don't care about them. So she was truthful in the fact of let me go ahead and feel this. That's the reason why she chose to do it. And also test the mark of Cain also. Because like you said, she could have picked any other type of death that she wanted to, right?
Right.
Yeah. But she chose that one.
She was like, I need that till package.
Right.
Alex.
I sent it.
Cool. Thank you, Ken.
What happened to Just Call Me Specs?
Oh, so just got he passed out. He couldn't stay up. You know what I'm saying? He had a long day, so he peaced out. And I want to say, just said peace out to everybody that was out there, you know what I'm saying, that was watching the television Ratchet. He had to go to bed. He was very tired. So
let it be noted who is up and who is not. Okay.
Well, we don't know. We confused about you being up. You heard me almost ready to talk shit. I pulled back, but since we on the topic, like the time and you up. You ain't gotta go to work tomorrow, motherfucker. What you doing?
I gotta help Awita with something right now. Thank you.
That's all for you. It's important to help friends, you know. I can dig that. Okay.
His on my shoulder.
It's way past your bedtime.
Hey, don't worry about my bedtime. This is
you don't want to be talking about your bedtime.
This right here is my anti-NyQuil. Okay, this is
interesting. Really?
Yes.
Bourbon keeps you awake.
Yes, it does.
That's what's up.
Rap said he at work right now listening to us while he working. He ain't doing that. What you? Rap is out there bug not doing anything. He's sitting there eating Twinkies or putting different fine oils in his beard.
Why you putting all the oils? No, Rap. Only use one. Use one.
I use all the fine oils. Hold on, Tico's in here in the building. What's going on, Tico?
Tico de Gallo.
If you like pina colada and getting caught in the rain.
Oh, word.
I don't know about all that, but I don't know Tybo. Y'all sure can get with some of this Tico. Anywho, I hear y'all over here talking about the Lovecraft, man. Let me tell you, boy, that is something crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, you all, man, I heard y'all talking. Now, the two chicks that was dancing, now we all know that came from the Uncle Tom, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Tom Cabinet.
Story, right? The jigaboos. So, if you noticed when she was in the alleyway and they were doing cartwheels and dancing, she was doing the dance from This Is, you know what I'm saying, from the Childish Gambino joint, This Is America.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I joked about it, but I wasn't sure if it was real.
Yeah,
you know how people like
doing.
dancing is similar.
She was like when she did that whole shoulder joint. That was that whole. You know what I'm saying? This is America joint. Yo.
So as a dancer yourself, Tico, as a dancer yourself, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Tico has danced professionally, you know what I'm saying? With many strip clubs around the country.
Yes, I'm a part-time stripper now. I only take off my socks.
I mean, you ain't got no bunions?
Nah. There's some pretty feet, yo. You know what I'm saying? I only work. Look, I got 13 jobs, so I only work that for like 13 minutes. So I can only take my socks off. So by the time I take my shoe and my sock off, you know what I'm saying, and I get that walk, you know what I mean?
But now, how did you think of the choreography? I thought it was super dope choreography.
I think it was crazy, man. The two young ladies who you know what I'm saying, who did it. The shit was spooky as shit, yo. That's right. You know what I'm saying? It was really spooky.
It was a tease for me. That dental work was like
and the choreographing and the dancing that all went in hands to it because it was different styles of you know what I'm saying, they were cutting a jig, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying, it was modern, and listen to the tracks that they would, you know what I'm saying, they were playing behind the joint.
Question.
Right.
Yeah.
So that whole joint was crazy, and I'm with you, Bishop. The whole, you know what I'm saying, Black Vampire joint. But we have to remember he is part of that family. Mm-hmm. We don't even know how many vampires there were. You know what I'm saying? They were all like a white, like what, white or something like.
Yeah, they were white in the
white, right? But his
so maybe that's a different one, and the black one.
I believe it's like, you know what I'm saying. I believe it's like.
Remember they said it was like pets. They said
like
they were like
Thrones. You know how they had their wolves. You know what I'm saying? I believe that was his.
Right.
Yeah.
Vampire. You know.
Because they
like when you were like.
Right.
Oh. Like the Power Rangers.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I know. Say it. Somebody say it. I need some. Never mind.
I was
waiting for somebody to be petty and be like, but the Power Rangers is really. I was just waiting for it. And I didn't hear.
Because
nobody fucking Voltron the niggas. I appreciate that, but I like Voltron too. Mm-hmm. It was just more fun to say Power Rangers.
It's like this. When the Power Rangers first came out. No. I stopped watching. That's what I was. I had enough of that shit. My brother used to love that shit. I'm like, man, this shit is whack.
Was it whack, or did you feel like it was Voltron?
It was.
Look, man, you have to look at the story. I like documentaries and shit like that. So the story of the whole Power Ranger joint was, it was a show. It was a Japanese show that they loved it so much that they wanted to make an American, but they couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Without, with the with the time frame that they had. So they decided that, hey, we'll just take these old fucking, you know what I'm saying, Japanese, movie and piece it to what's going on now. And it worked for like forever. And the only reason, you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy. I mean, the whole dynamics has not changed one so bit. I mean, shit, fucking Goldar, and I'm going way back. Fucking Godzilla, you know what I'm saying? If you look at Godzilla, it was the same thing. So, go fucking Power Rangers. All I know is when I had kids, I was buying the same fucking man for fucking damn 10 years. It was the same dude. It was the same dude, same form, same everything. It just had different fucking shit on it. The same dude.
What, the left arm move, and then on the new one, the right arm move, exactly. And then the nigga got a gold necklace. Mm-hmm. Like
same dude. Crazy, man. Crazy.
Oh yeah.
They talk about that damn fly on Facebook, man. It is. The fly has taken over on Facebook.
There was no motherfucking real debate. It was just the fly. The fly is the start of the debate.
Did you see that picture that Keisha posted? The fly holding the Black Lives Matter sign?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It was a drone, y'all. It was a fucking drone.
Nobody can see that.
Mike Pence's fly.
That's words. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. He got a page already? That is crazy.
What is the
Wow. The internet has zero chill. Okay.
You know,
Like,
fly always
don't go
do
to
the
fucking
shit,
bed,
man.
and they don't go to bed. They just be like, you know,
that fly has an IMDb page now.
Yep.
He only been on this earth for 24 hours. And more famous than all of us.
Just
he gonna be so big. I'm telling y'all.
Yeah, just yesterday he was a maggot. Just yesterday he was a low life.
Nigga gonna be like this.
Look at how he's come up in the world. Yesterday,
The fly is popping off. The fly
gonna be so big, yo. The fly gonna be so big. It's gonna be so. I'm so excited for Saturday night, niggas. The fly is gonna be so fucking big.
For 69 cents a day, you too can feed a politician. That's that damn African fly. That African fly on the face on the kids. Send money to the Republican Party. You know what I'm saying?
That's gonna be on Trevor Noah though. That's gonna be on Trevor Noah because you saw how they already did like a Africa Help the American President commercial.
Oh, did they? Oh, I haven't seen it.
Roy Wood Jr.
No, I haven't seen it. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So that's Trevor Noah. They gonna handle that shit. Trust.
Wow.
Look at him.
What does it say?
King Kamala ain't got shit on me.
Wow.
That's hilarious, yo. They are winning right now, man.
I think tomorrow we should all watch The Fly.
No, fuck that. I'm good.
That movie is creepy too, but I love me some Jeff.
Yo, if you can't handle Lovecraft, you can't handle The Fly.
Yeah,
that shit is like.
I've seen The Fly, and no, thank you.
That was bad, like special effects, scary. So
yeah. I mean, that was like one of the last movies that dealt with like real cats making real, you know what I'm saying, prosthetics.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking crazy as hell. When his fucking ear fell off, I was like, yo.
It was, you know what it was? It was like this. What I noticed back then, what they did, they was like, yo, we gonna make sure everything look a little bit too wet. Like everything was a little bit too glistening.
Well, you had to. I mean, you know, they were shooting in film.
Right.
They were shooting in film. So, you know what I'm saying? They had to make it, you had to be juicy. That shit had to be fucking juicy as shit.
It was just a dude on the side with KY. He was just like, I'm the KY guy.
What did you say, Natty?
He said that was WASP, wet ass film.
Wet
ass films. Wet ass pictures.
Or it still might have been wet ass photos.
You know.
What's up with Megan? She got a new song, right? Didn't she say her WAP stanky or some shit?
Shit, stop it. Listen, man, this has been Intelligently Ratchet, man. We about to have conversations about other things, but yo, watch Lovecraft Country. Also,
you said it right, motherfucker.
Thank God.
Thank you. I feel proud of myself.
There might be hope for you.
That might be. I can't still spell it, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my grammar. You know what I'm saying? My terrible grammar and my worst penmanship.
Big web grammar.
Four.
Who the fuck is Big Web?
4. Candy Carver. Naughty by Nature. Keisha. You know what I mean? Tico DeGallo and our sleepy friend, Specs and Phenomenal. I think Phenomenal quit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's coming back next week. But yeah, man. We'll see y'all next week.
Look, Phenomenal got that only fan page up, man. He ain't coming back, yo. He got that only fan page coming up. He ain't coming back, yo.
Peace out, y'all.
These nuts.
I'm on live yet.
Get off. Hold on. I'm waiting. Waiting for it to end.
Hey, I might as well tell this fucking dirty ass joke.
No, you better not tell a dirty ass joke. I'm trying to end my joke.
All right, okay. I'm not
Stop
gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Stop. You gotta stop it. Why is this not going?
Don't staple in my head. Staple Bishop. Don't staple me.
You stop stapling people. It's not right. It's not right.
Right. Damn.
Hold on, I'm wondering why my intelligence.
You don't stapler though. Look at how my beautiful.
Hold on, it won't. And having trouble with connecting.
I got a sander for my birthday, Naughty.
You got a what?
A sander.
Oh, word! I got 2 of them. You got an orbital sander or like
the circulations.
Is that what they call them now? I thought it was a rabbit. I'm sorry.
No, I got a sander.
Yo, you need to wear some shit off your clitoris. You got a problem.
Whoa, hold on, stop it. Y'all still live, right?
Oh no, you didn't tell us that.
Too
But
late, motherfucker.